आपको एक इमेज जनरेट करके देते हैं, तो वीडियो करके देते हैं। आप रियलिस्टिक देखेंगे तो काफ़ी सारे पर्सनालिटीज हैं, उनके रियल टाइम वीडियोस कैन कनेक्ट विद द हिस्ट्री ऑल्सो। सो दिस इज जनरेटिव एआई। ओके, आप जितना अच्छे से प्रॉम्प्ट लिखेंगे उतना अच्छा आपको रिजल्ट मिलेगा। तो अभी प्रॉम्प्ट के लिए काफ़ी लोग सीखने के लिए जाते हैं कि प्रॉम्प्ट इंजीनियरिंग करेंगे, ये करेंगे, वो करेंगे। मेरे हिसाब से वो ज़रूरी भी नहीं है। यू कैन सिंपली आस्क चैटजीपीटी कि ये मेरा रिक्वायरमेंट, इसके लिए प्रॉम्प्ट क्या होना चाहिए। सो उसके लिए आपको पढ़ने की जरूरत नहीं, वो चैटजीपीटी आपको सिखाएगा, राइट। AI nudges for behavioral change. We'll see more examples into AI nudges. Anyone aware of AI nudges? क्या होता है? वेरिएबल्स कितने बनते हैं?
केवल आपको ना सब लोग कहीं नहीं,
राइट, हाँ, करेक्ट। सो ये जैसे आपको नजेस है ना बीच बीच में, वैसे आपका बिहेवियरल चेंज के लिए काफ़ी सारे नजेस होते हैं। कीप वॉकिंग है वो हेल्थ के लिए है, फिर करेक्ट, ड्रिंक वाटर है, तो मोर सॉर्ट ऑफ हेल्थ के। वैसे HR के फील्ड में भी जितने भी मीटिंग्स होते हैं उसमें बीच में आपको क्या नजेस चाहिए, तो वो भी अलर्ट आता है। दैट AI and DI for bias reduction, then digital twins for workforce. ये भी एक नया buzzword है। I'll show you what is that. Human plus AI collaboration and autonomous and empowered AI agents. How many of you are using AI agents? No. Please उसको Google करें। Yeah. Good. नहीं, AI agents is something different. It will direct connect you to like your own assistant. Okay, एक बार आपने प्रोग्राम को बना दिया, जैसे आपको यहाँ से कहीं भी टूर पे जाना है, दुबई जाना है, तो दुबई तक का पूरा जर्नी वो मैप करके इवन टिकट बुक करके पूरा वो होटल तक का बुकिंग कर देगा। दैट एंड टू एंड सॉल्यूशन। So generative AI tools are like ChatGPT. We can auto draft job descriptions and HR policies. कितने लोगों ने यहाँ पर जॉब डिस्क्रिप्शंस बनाए हैं ChatGPT यूज करके? फैंटास्टिक है, आपका एक्सपीरियंस बहुत अच्छा रहा होगा। एंड द वे यू गिव द प्रॉम्प्ट्स, इतना ब्यूटीफुल इसमें सब कुछ आपको मिलता है। सो मैं भी बोल रहा हूँ कि 27 साल में अगर 3 साल में छोड़ दूँ ना, तो वो 27 साल मेरे बेस्ट है। मतलब ये 3 साल में काफ़ी कुछ मैंने नया सीखा। तो आपको भी वो एक्सपीरियंस हुआ होगा कि AI की वजह से कितना बेनिफिट हमको मिलता है, राइट। सो दिस आर लाइक हाउ AI इज हेल्पिंग अस। मोर सॉर्ट ऑफ ड्राफ्टिंग पॉलिसीज, ड्राफ्टिंग तो पूरा ही आ गया उसमें। लीगल ड्राफ्ट का हो आप, या अपॉइंटमेंट लेटर से लेके एवरीथिंग, SOPs। या दिस वी वर टॉकिंग अबाउट टेक अ शॉर्ट वॉक नाउ, ऐसा एक प्रॉम्प्ट आता है आपको वेरिएबल्स में। वैसे जैसे मीटिंग का कल्चर भी चल रहा था, हाउ यू कैन इम्प्रोवाइज दैट कल्चर। तो रिमाइंडर आपको बताएगा आउट ऑफ दैट करंट मीटिंग इन बिटवीन, स्टार्ट योर मीटिंग विद एप्रिसिएशन। जैसे शुरुआत में शाह साहब ने बोला था कि आपने 7 दिन में कितने लोगों को अप्रिशिएट किया है, तो वो अपना रिमाइंडर देगा 7 दिन में आपने कितने को अप्रिशिएट किया है अपने ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में। देन नजेस इंडिविजुअल बिहेवियर और टीम वर्क के लिए आता है, लाइक रोटेट स्पीकिंग ऑर्डर इन योर मीटिंग। ओके, सो दीज आर फ्यू एग्जांपल्स। I think this helps, right? So search for that and learn more things. ये इम्पोर्टेंट पार्ट है। यहाँ पर काफ़ी सारे प्रोसेसेस हैं जिसमें हम लोग जेंडर बायस्ड हो जाते हैं, या तो फिर डिसीजन ऐसे आते हैं कि जहाँ पर हम अवॉइड कर सकते हैं चीज़ों को। तो वहाँ पर AI हमको हेल्प करता है कि ब्लाइंड फोल्डेड हम डिसीजन कैसे लें, मतलब कीपिंग जेंडर साइड। ओके, सो काफ़ी सारा हेल्प वहाँ पर भी मिलेगा ऑर्गेनाइजेशन को, एंड ऑर्गेनाइजेशन विल भी, उनका रेपुटेशन बढ़ेगा अगर ये टूल्स यूज़ करते हैं तो। बिकॉज पीपल विल कम टू नो कि यस दिस इज नॉट अ बायस ऑर्गेनाइजेशन, राइट। सो दिस आर डिजिटल ट्विन, जहाँ पर आप सिनारियो बिल्ड कर सकते हैं, रियलिस्टिक सिमुलेशन कर सकते हैं। DCS प्रोसेस जैसे आपने देखा होगा प्लांट में, तो वैसे ही HR में भी काफ़ी सारी एक्टिविटीज़ है, तो पूरे आप सिमुलेट कर सकते हैं। एंड दैट वे यू कैन क्रिएट अ सिनारियो कि जहाँ पर मेरा रिस्क, मेरा एफर्ट, मेरा कॉस्ट वो कम हो, एंड मैं किस तरह से उसका इम्प्लीमेंटेशन एकदम एफिशिएंट मेथड में कर सकता हूँ। So human plus AI working together.
हेलो हाँ बोल
AI shortlist top 10 resumes, then 8 draft HR policies हमने देखा. So many of things,
મને
not only
જોવું
related
પડે
to
2
this.
મિનિટમાં આવ્યો હું તને કરી આપું
So these are some takeaways for the HR leaders, HR fraternity.
અરે નીતનાથમાં કરાવી દો 5 મિનિટ લાઈવ કરેલું છે કાજલ પાસેથી કરેલું રિસર્ચ લાઈવ કરેલું છે યાર ઇન્સ્ટા
Again, one-to-one cases, just go through that quickly.
તો થોડી વાર લાગે હું લોકો પછી કરી આપીશ પણ શું કરો એટલે હું કરવાનું
And finally, how you can quickly start from tomorrow. So Power BI, ChatGPT, if you have not used, go ahead and use it. Don't only restrict to conventional Excel, go for advanced Excel, learn that. Now you'll get the AI help over there directly into Excel. And the way you can utilize it for many things. These are my own practical approach. And final note. So many of the organizations are already using it. I mentioned their names also.
ત્યાં પેલા બેન
So I can share the slide to you also, go through that. Feel comfortable to chat with me, discuss with me, call me. And finally the closing thought is, AI is of course a powerful partner, but don't get blind assistance from that. Okay? You are a decision maker, you are mind. Actually AI is what artificial intelligence, but we are having real brain. So it is up to us to utilize it. Otherwise it will be a danger for you and your organization also. It can also misguide or mislead.
સ્ક્રીન કેમ આવી ગઈ બહુ વધારે એ શું
Thank you from my side. Any questions?
બસ બસ નોર્મલ
But the note which you closed upon, that we need to be misguided, and with a lot of buzz around us to use AI and various platforms which are very easily available for free. If you can please help us understand the ethical aspect into it, how we may unintentionally or inadvertently might be making unethical use of our company's policies or certain informations by making use of this different kinds of platforms available for free.
See, one thing is, whatever results you want, you need to input the data. Okay? So don't just blindly copy paste your data which is having your organization name. You can recreate that. Okay, if your organization name is Aditya Birla, so find Aditya Birla, replace it with something else, ABC Limited, and then upload it. Otherwise, your organization will be on stake because it is a open use source license available. Okay, so you are not having any direct liability, but your data will be available in the market somewhere else. Okay, so be sure that your organization gives you the permission to use ChatGPT for your organization needs. Your IT department has to be consulted. That is a legal thing. Okay, if that is not, you are in a danger. Because maybe next time you will be caught that why you are leaked this data. Okay, so that is one thing. Another part is misleading answers also. So you will get a result from ChatGPT or Copilot. So whatever questions you ask, many of people who are using it, if you realize that after third or fourth or fifth attempt, ChatGPT also gets bored and then throws the garbage data, right? That is the result. So that way it misleads. Then you have to again restart that entire conversation. then you will get the proper correct answer. So it is your sort of a effort which is clean, your input is best, the way you will create it, you will get the best result. And in a legal field. Anyone else?
I have a question. How compelled are you to use AI in terms of your work? Number one. Number two, do you feel that it should be used only for repetitive work because the mind is already in autopilot mode where we end up doing a lot of things that we don't want to do it, but because we are in autopilot mode, we keep doing it and we aren't able to get out of it. So already we are stuck in several loops, not another loop. So then what happens to our thought process, our creativity, our ability to innovate? So do you think this should be used only on and off or should be used consistently? Because like you said, the human brain also is there and needs to be exercised time and again.
Thank you. So the need for me as an individual person to use this AI in my HR field is of course whatever the requirements are there from the organization. So I felt that this is the best and smart way to do because of many things our results were shocking because I was doing it for 20 years or more. Okay, so Excel, PowerPoint presentations or Word or PDF, this all we need to handle it in a routine. So there are smarter ways. Okay, so now I don't want to recreate the JD again and again. Once I input that data for a new opening, so my JD is clean and clear as per my requirement. So I don't need to have any consultant from outside. Okay, I can rely on my data, I can change or modify it. So that way. So updates are there. So not only JD part, but of course in recruitment also. Internally, we are blessed with a less number of attrition. But even though there are some openings, we do get say best fit candidates out of 50 or 60 CVs. I can select 3 or 5, maximum 5 results are there, and that has been proven that it's really the best. That is only based on the CV, of course, but we need to interact with the candidate, take our decision, and that is our call. But the manual process or time lagging, that much as you can come out of it very well. So these are the ways to improve your efficiency in HR. And for that you need to update, of course.
Is the repetitive process is what we need to take care of mostly?
Not only repetitive processes, but repetitive processes can have one kind of cycle which are timely available. Okay, so you don't need to give the input again and again. You need to build one process. Suppose for resume screening or for JD, for SOP, anything, it reminds you. Okay, that for this particular process, I need to give this input. So it's not a repetitive, but of course, again there are some other good tools also. In Excel earlier there were formulas. Okay, now there are ready-made AI tools available, agents available, from where you can get the direct help. So of course we need to update ourselves so that we are not again clocked anywhere as a repetitive process. Okay. Anyone else?
Presenting the memento as a token of love from our side. Thank you, sir. Our next expert for the session is Mr. Anil Nair, Vice President HR, Zydus Life Sciences Limited, Ahmedabad. He leads the Center of Excellence for Talent Management and Organizational Development at Zydus Life Sciences, a pharma company with a force of over 27,000. He holds a Bachelor in Science and Master in Human Resource and is currently pursuing a doctorate in Human Capital Management. He is also training to become a certified brain-based coach under the Neuro Leadership Framework. Known for his creative approach and openness to innovation, he brings a unique blend of strategic insight and people-centric thinking. He is a regular speaker and panelist at leading forums on organizational development and is a passionate advocate for diversity, equity and inclusion and of course employee value proposition. Now I request Mr. Dartesh Shah sir to welcome Mr. Anil Nair representing him a bouquet. Thank you sir. Now the stage is all yours.
Very good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Well, in fact, thank you so much for the generous introduction. Well, usually when I hear my introduction in such forums, I always have an innate desire that my wife should have been in the audience at least. At least that, she should realize what an important person she's staying with all her life.
Here we have link.
You have that,
Yes,
right? I'm not going to talk about employee value proposition, but I must confess that my own personal value proposition at home is very weak. So that's a disclaimer right in the beginning. While I was listening to Mr. Murarkar, I started, I beg your pardon, but then I started generating a small amount of hate. The only reason because I thought post-lunch sessions, usually the people will be half slept, and it will make my job easier while I start my session, and I can get away with whatever I'm going to say. But then with the description of the AI that is brought to the class, I'm sure the eyes have all popped up into what all kind of things are happening in the world, so that makes my job a little more tougher. But however, I'll stand in front of you and I'll ensure that I'll try to make this next half an hour a little thought-provoking and make you really go through the journey of a value proposition in any organization. In the previous two sessions, the speakers did ask you how many people represent HR, and I saw most of the heads going up. And I was quite happy to see that here is a pool of people who really have been a part of the employee life cycle in many parts. Some of you might be in acquisition, some of you might be in management, some of you in learning and development, so on and so forth. But then at least in some form, the employee's life cycle, you are connected. So before I'm going to talk to you more about the value proposition, especially employee value proposition, I must put on record thanks to the forum of QCFI for having invited me, and also to give you an opportunity to meet the elite panelists and also the elite fraternity of HR in Ankleshwar and in Gujarat. So the topic is very interesting. It's compelling employee value proposition, and I'm sure this topic is not which is unheard of. It's not something which is new to you. When you talk about employee value proposition, you have probably got the lessons during your MBA school days, or when you started working. Each one of us is been bringing about a quite employee value proposition in a respective organization. But the question is this employee value proposition, is the word need to have a prefix of the word employee? So should we have an employee value proposition, or should we talk about value proposition? So my question to you is, how many employee value proposition managers do you have in your organizations? How many employee value proposition managers do you have in your organizations? Do you have employee value proposition managers in your organizations? Yes or no? Yes or no? By titles, no. But I would say that the lady did make a mention that, I lead a group of 27,000 people, 27,891 to be precise. That means in my organization, I have 27,891 employee value proposition managers. Each and every individual working in the organization, from the doorman to the chairman,
is responsible to represent the organization in one form or the other in this world. And hence, whatever we do, the culture that we build, the practices that we have, the processes which we follow, everything represents a value proposition to one another. While it's easier for each one of us also, hence, ironically, to disqualify ourselves from that role because each one of us is also an employee. So when you talk about employee value proposition, we are at the receiving end of the services of the organization. But we fail, at least at times, to realize that each one of us, irrespective of whichever function that we are working in, we have a value proposition to my peers, to my colleagues, to my stakeholders in the organization, and hence, as many number of employees in an organization, as many employee value proposition managers. But then today, I'm going to say that this word employee is need not necessary, because the moment you talk about employee value proposition and add a word employee prefixing it, that means we are only looking at employees who are associated with the organizations on a payroll. Right? That means it's only related to hiring talent and retaining them, nothing else. But then whatever kind of practices you have in our organizations, whatever processes that you build in the culture which you set up, the leadership which you have, has got an impact beyond the community of the organization. I think so a few sessions back we also talked about what are the various hiring practices and what is it that the organizations will look forward to attract and retain talent. Today, an organization, either it is listed or not listed, in some form or other, it is connected with the community. In a listed organization, more so like us, there are stakeholders, there are investors. We are a pharmaceutical organization, so the patients who consume my drugs, the families of my employees, my colleagues, my relatives, the society, the business partners, everyone. Now, each one of them in some form or other is connected with my organization, and so is yours. Whatever we do, whatever we practice, whatever culture we build in, each one of them is looking into it. Today you are into the media. The social media gives a lot of information about the organization. So the moment you talk about value proposition, it's not only for the employees. You talk about value proposition, the value proposition connects employees who are currently working with us, the prospective employees who are looking forward to join you, or scouting for you, or researching about you before they join any organization. The investors, in case if you're a listed company, those people who invest in your organizations to buy your shares. The business partners in some or the other form, they're connected with you through some channels. The families of the employees, the customers, and also the community. Now, each one of them has an impact and influence on the employees. Each one of them, the value proposition does impact. So when you talk about an EVP as a subject, let us not restrict it only for the sake of employees. However, it is employees who live the culture in the organization. So the feelings that employees carry forward outside your organization is something that the people see. Your annual reports, they make great statements about the work which you do. What happens because of that? The investors read about it and they feel here is an organization who's likely to grow, here is a future prospect, here is the business which is growing, and hence I must invest in that organization. What happens to the patients? In case of our organization who's manufacturing medicines, when the patients look into the drugs and they consume and they're getting well, they feel loyally connected to the product. And in fact, here is an organization who is patient-centric. Here is an organization which is producing quality medicines. So, the moment you talk about employee value proposition, it's high time to remove that prefix employees and say that it is a value proposition. It's not the employee value proposition. Let's not limit ourselves only to look into the people who work for us or with us. Let's also look beyond this to the community and say, fine, whatever I do, however I come and represent, for example, I'm today speaking in front of you and representing an organization in my personal capacity. Though I put a disclaimer that my thoughts are my personal, but in some form or the other, you are looking at a person who's working with an organization titled XYZ. And there is a kind of an image that I'm trying to build, and it's a value proposition that I bring to you with with the kind of practices that are there in my organization, there is a kind of reciprocation from your side in terms of intent to know more. So that is value proposition. That's how big it is. And hence, each one of these individuals, whether it's employees or prospective employees or investors or business partners, families, customers, community, your practices in your organization impacts all of them. Employee value proposition, does it impact business? I would say yes. Employee value proposition, does it bring investors to your organization? I would say yes. Employee value proposition, does it make the families of the employees happy? I would say yes. Because when an employee goes back home and shares the kind of experiences that he or her had in the office, makes the family, feel good about the association the person has. When you have the get-together and practices or employee engagement initiatives, what you do when you meet families and come together, it's not only a moment of camaraderie. It's also a kind of a value proposition that the organization offers to the family, saying that, fine, hey, here is an individual of your family working with us. Be sure that he is likely to grow and he is coming back to another family every day. Now that's the kind of morale and motivation build-up can also do. So that means employee value proposition doesn't restrict only to employees anymore. And it's time that we step back and say, it's a value proposition. Whatever I do, my actions, my behavior, my character, in any capacity that I'm working, junior, senior, doesn't matter. The moment you talk about value proposition, it's among equals. If I go to a medical store to buy a product, and the way that I fight with the retailer, saying that I'm from a pharmaceutical company and hence you might give a discount, itself also talks about the kind of culture the organization might have and the quality of leadership that the organization builds in. So it's equally important to be sensitive enough to our actions, sensitive enough to our behavior, sensitive enough to the character of what we borrow. And what is it that the world sees? Everywhere, if you're talking to a client, if you're talking to a business partner, the kind of quarrels that you might have, the mails which you shoot, the communication which might not be palatable enough, also talks about the culture prevailing in this company. The sidewalks, the rumors which got spread, everything impacts, and hence, each and everything that you do can have a negative or a positive impact. And it all determines the value proposition the organization offers. Because from an outsider, when they look into the company, or the employees who are surviving day in, day out, they have the kind of a feeling which they carry back that this is an organization that I'm working with, not anymore. Or the individuals who are trying to research to come and join your company, read about yourself on a LinkedIn or a Glassdoor and get a kind of an idea, oh, here is not an organization that I would want to work for. So it's not only related to employees, it's related to everyone. Now, what are the changing dynamics compelling to shift your value proposition? Now, today, every organization does one or the other thing to impress upon the employees, to retain the employees, to grow the employees, to build the careers of employees, and also some engagement events to ensure that the good talent doesn't leave. But then the entire methodology of value proposition is changing. Because some or the other way, the kind of practices that you have, the culture which you build up, is also trying to spread the news in the world. And hence, people might want to get connected or might not want to get connected because of the value proposition that the organization offers. If I look into the compelling shifts, why the value proposition is likely to change? What is it that the changing dynamics which are there? A few of it, I think so, was also taken up in the previous sessions. The first and foremost is the multi-generational workforce, and I'm sure you would have heard this in multiple forums, you've read about it. When I joined this organization, the present organization, which was almost 21 years back, I still recall only 2 generations of employees were working. Today we are surviving with 5 generations of employees. There are employees in early 20s, employees in late 50s, people in late 50s are policy makers, people in early 20s are policy executionists. A sea change of difference in the mindsets, right? And if you don't think about, if you don't think about the new generations, if you don't think about the Gen Z or the millennials, if you don't institutionalize practices, if you don't move away from your conventional route, if you are just in a matter of status quo, it is going to impact the value proposition. So one of the major shifts in the dynamics which is compelling for the organizations to change their value propositions, compelling them to think otherwise of the practices what they have. One of the major thing is multi-generational workforce, and I'm sure many of them were seniors around or have had a huge number of experience in the HR field might agree with this. The second thing which is happening in the industry, which is very dynamic and compelling, is, according to me, the technology enablement and digital establishments. AI is something that we spoke about, but not only AI. That in the way the technology has built up, the way the machines are put to test, the way the hands of machine are losing their skills, the lot of establishments which are now digitally focused will bring a great amount of change in the way that we treat our employees. Even though you are seasoned HR professional, probably you might take half an hour to compose a GD. Here comes a fresher who probably uses the chat GPT, as Rahul has said, and might create that in just 5 minutes. But you need to accept that. And that is the way the talent landscape is changing. The talent skills are changing. And when those talent skills are changing, you need to follow those talent. But you will have to retain such kind of talent who's going to help you. And you will be able to retain those talent only if you're giving them a kind of an ecosystem, the atmosphere to survive and grow and contribute to their development. So this is a big, big shift which is happening. As you know, very famously said in many forums that AI is not going to change the people, but people who learn AI will change the people who do not know AI or in any form a digital learning. The third thing, according to me, which is going to be compelling to shift the value proposition, the changing dynamics, is a hybrid work culture. Now, not many organizations have adapted it, but it is more commonly seen in technology companies or IT organizations. But then those companies during the COVID times, you realize that it's not important for me to invest in capex or in infrastructure. I can allow people to work remotely and then save on some money, and that can be diverse or transferred to some other work, which will change the way that the organizations build up a value proposition. So hybrid work culture would mean that the individuals are not sitting in front of you, right? You meet them over a Zoom call or a video call, you never know whether the employee is even there or not. At times you only hear the snoring if the mic is not mute, right? But then what's happening? Yeah, you're only trying to see that hybrid work culture will change the expectations. And when they change the expectations, individuals who are possibly accustomed to hybrid work culture would want to live in an area of comfort. And this is something which will change the way the organizations look into their policies and processes. So that is another thing, the changing dynamics, which will shift the value proposition and compel the organizations to. The fourth thing, according to me, is the business models. Well, if you look into the supply chain practices, if you look into the technology which is put in place, if you look into the way the organizations have diversified themselves to the way of doing business, they found out easy ways, they found out different partners. The business models will have to breed in better talent in a place. People with a lot of exposure, people with diversified experience, people with global understanding will have to be brought together. There are organizations who invest in a business which they have not been there earlier. It's an absolute new business. And in a new business, because they feel that this is the second engine and their existing engine is going to break down very soon, they need to identify newer ways to grow. And when they look into newer ways of growth, they need to have newer talents in place who have not done this work earlier. And hence, the changing business model will also compel the organizations to think of changing their value propositions of what is it that they can do to embrace this. Global expansions, mergers and acquisitions. I'm sure each one of you in some form or the other have gone through this in your respective organization if you're fortunate to, of having either been acquired or in being a place wherein you have acquired other organizations or in mergers or joint ventures. In such kind of scenarios where the different minds come together, kind of scenarios where the different cultures bring together, the kind of existing practices might have to change to accommodate the newer culture in place. You need to integrate the two cultures together, and hence that's the only way that you can make the organization of the people say that here is an organization who cares. So the mergers and acquisitions, the kind of global expansions. Now global expansions would mean you might be there practicing in India, and then you have operations in US or European countries. The culture there is absolutely different. If you would want them to embrace your culture or the kind of policies which are framed here, and vice versa, if it's a multinational organization, do not have that processes, probably or not likely to retain the people. See, at the end of the day, while I said that the word employee might not be much relevant and it is only value proposition, at the end it boils down only to the experience which you give to the people. Because it is only through the people experiences that your organization gets known or generates business. The labor laws, and very frequently we have been hearing about the changing laws in this country, the labor laws, and because of labor laws, what's happening? You see the HR operations are quite occupied with what will happen with EPF, whether we'll be able to withdraw this money, what's happening with the minimum wage, the labor codes are changing, and this will all look forward to the kind of benefits which are extended to these people now. The organizations will have to look into creative ways to ensure that these systems which are imposed by the government will have to be incubated in the organization to ensure that everybody is being paid neutrally. Labor laws, you may never believe, but will have a huge impact on the value proposition the organization offers. And according to me, these are few of the changing dynamics, apart from a couple more, which is economic uncertainty and the job market fluidity. Well, I don't know which industry all of you represent, but I'm sure that each one of you represents different industries. At a time when the recession did come, you saw the impact of it if you did work during those times. But I think so going forward, you see a lot of movement around the people. You open the LinkedIn and probably half a dozen comments are only about people changing jobs. And people change jobs more frequently now than they used to earlier. I always tell my colleague happily that I've spent 21 years. That doesn't mean that I can expect the people who join you to spend the same amount of time. It could be a mutually value relationship which continues for so long, but that's not the reality. So the people who come, they see in case if they feel they're good about it, they might get a ransom salary, but then that's not the only thing what they look forward to. The kind of career progression, the kind of growth, the kind of exposure, the kind of opportunities, all does matter. And hence, probably the economic uncertainty does exist. There are organizations who are not doing good in business, the profitability are in loss. They say that this time the increments are low, then you should be vulnerable enough for your people to get lost. So these are few uncertainties which are happening around. The business is not doing good, the impact is there on HR. The HR is trying to cut down the salaries or cut down on recruitments, the variable pay is reduced. The people get demotivated, the morale gets lost, people quit. More people quit, the media becomes savvy, media publishes it, the value proposition gets lost. And then individuals, who are looking at this media, they realize that my here is not the organization I would like to work with. Now you see a small instance today on a Facebook or published on LinkedIn by an employee about the experiences he or her had in the company, whether it is during onboarding, whether it is during the promotion, whether it is during the appraisal cycle, whether it is during the quitting of the job, everything gets published and it's known. And we unfortunately are in a world where word of mouth spreads fast, like rapid fire. So any uncertainties that we face through are no more a secret. So gone are those days where we say that these are boardroom discussions. No, they are BORED, boardroom discussions, right? And hence, the job market fluidity, economic uncertainty will have a huge difference in the way organizations will be compelled to change their value propositions. ESG guidelines, and I'm sure this is something which is very hot, right? In the past 2 years, I'm sure many of you might know that at least in this country, the top 1,000 organizations by market cap are told to release a complete document about their ESG compliance, and ESG is going to be the next big thing. Those organizations, big or small, not complying to the ESG practices will find it so difficult for them to survive because it's a government task. That's how our country has behaved, and it is good for a reason because we would want to make a green entity and the global superpower. So some might even say that the data is getting collated and collected, but in some form or the other, ESG practices, if you look at, will become very, very significant. That's a major ask. So for listed companies, along with the annual report, you also have an ESG report getting published. Now, whatever you publish there, whatever data gets released, speaks about the organization. Whom all does it impact? It impacts everybody who reads it, or everybody who is aware about it, or everybody who comes to know about it. And hence, according to me, when I gave it a thought, I said that what are the changing dynamics which will compel to change your value proposition? today, the value proposition is, at the most you say, we have good engagement practices, we give good decent salaries, we have great perks and benefits. That's the only thing that we get to talk to a new employee when he's onboarding or when he comes for an interview. Because earlier, the question that the HR members used to ask the prospective employees was, why should we hire you? It was a common question. Now, we see that the prospective employees who come for an interview are asking a reverse question, why should I join you? What is your value proposition? And it's a very common question. Probably kids are taught in colleges to ask those questions during the campus interviews. But then it makes more sense because you're starting a career. You don't want to start on a low note. You would want to get into an organization which not only gives you a job but gives you a career to choose. And hence, these guidelines become necessary. And most of these organizations will be compelled to shift to think on the lines which will be very, very important going forward. So these are some of the changing dynamics. Now, if these are the changing dynamics, what are the compelling practices? What is it that can be done to evade this? If this is something that the organization is compelled to shift their propositions, what is it as an organization that changes can enable these value propositions at the workplaces? First is emphasis on DEI. And I'm sure no organization is left without this word today spoken in the corridor. And most of the HR are hell-bent on practicing in some form or the other. One of the easiest thing to do and get away with it is saying that we have women development programs, right, or increasing in diversity, which is getting noted in the reviews and how many female employees you hired, because that's the easiest thing to achieve, right, the low-hanging fruit. But DEI is much beyond that. When you talk about diversity, we talk about equity, we talk about inclusion. This is going to be the next big story. While Trump may say that DEI is not important and get away with it, but India has just initiated that thought, right? And before we thought, the country's always ended the thought on it. But in a country like India, which builds emotions, in a country like India, which are among equals, where there's a lot of fairness, where people look forward to employment extremely, extremely critically, not like US where you have a lot of gig jobs already. In India, it's only in the nascent stage, so don't even think about it for the next 10 years. It might come up at a stage later, but not immediately. Because as Indians, we need security. And when we need security, we want to continue with an organization as long as it is mutually convenient and value add for us. And the practices on DEI would enable me to continue for a long time. Loyalty is not one-sided. Loyalty is mutual. Emphasis on DEI will see a huge growth in many organizations now. Investment on future skills development, not the current skills. It's very easy to prepare a training calendar and say that this many people are undergoing the learning and development initiatives. To show the numbers and say this many people have attended this program. So that this many managers are developed, this many leadership interventions are happening. No. Organizations will be compelled to think about, and the biggest shift that the organizations are likely to make as a value proposition is, we don't do general skill programs anymore. We have identified that what will the organization be in 2013, what kind of skills will be required for us, what kind of weaknesses do we have today which we need to build in, what kind of strengths do we need to make it more stronger, whether it's technology, whether it's process, whether it's people. Organizations are thinking on those directions. And why they're thinking? Because you saw there's a lot of shift which is happening, the dynamics are changing, multi-generational people are coming forward, right? Emphasis on DEI is happening, and hence organizations will start looking into future skills. Now these skills are something that you would not have heard of at all, because you may never know what kind of skills will be required in your organizations. It will be more kind of a technical skills going forward. So while soft skills is something which becomes a part of the story any which way, which cannot be discounted, but the technical and functional skills around digitization, around technology platforms, around using of AI, around using of critical thinking matters, around the leadership acumen will extremely, extremely be critical going forward. And that is another thing that the organizations are making an investment on. The third area is multiple career opportunities and open talent framework. So in Zydus, we do have this open talent framework, and I'm sure some of your organization has it, which means that you no more look into the functional capability of people. While it is important to do a job, but then is it really important for a head of HR to come from an HR background? Might be a few years back we would say extremely critical, but today with residing somewhere in manufacturing or a supply chain and you don't realize. The question is, are organizations willing to take that risk and punt? But going forward, it would be required because talent functional is becoming scarce. So how would you try to build talent? Either you borrow talent, which becomes costlier, you build talent that will take time. So have multiple people, bets on people. And that's something which will allow people also to build multiple career opportunities. Now imagine there's an organization who's giving any opportunities that the organization has, or compels people to think about moving roles and functions. That itself can be a great value proposition to say that fine, we do not generate functional leaders, we build organizational leaders. Imagine if you sitting here, most of you from HR, if you also had enough acumen about finance, if you also had enough understanding about the manufacturing, if you enough had the detailed functional understanding of supply chain, how would you be? You feel it great, right? You'll find yourself more capable to be in the shoe that you are today. You'll find it more confident enough to face any business priorities. Going forward, those career opportunities will become important and organizations will shift to offer multiple career opportunities. The changing talent dimensions. Now what are talent dimensions? Talent dimensions are the easiest thing that was always mapped as potential versus performance 3x3 matrix. That's all. And that always used to be a kind of a 3x3 matrix where you say there are hypos and those words were very common, and you see that the only way to identify talent is through this matrix. No, the talent dimensions will change. A lot of added factors will play a role. Organizations will be compelled to look beyond the potential and even performance. Potential will not be equipped with only the functionality part. Potential will also be equipped with the way that he respects or treats people, the kind of flourishing career that he is looking forward to, the kind of aspirations and the risk-taking ability the individual might have. Talent dimensions will be compelled to change. Because otherwise, the individuals who are the new folks are not likely to stay back with you. They say, fine, yeah, I've taken this job just because I needed a job, but my interest lies somewhere else. I can do this for some time, but then if we're giving an opportunity to learn this, learn that every 3 years, allow me to make a shift and trust me and take the risk on my career, I'll be very, very important. So if the ask is that from your audience, it's equally important to bridge your dimensions in a way which allows the individuals to have that. Creative perks and benefits and the wealth sharing practices, very easy to say but so difficult to implement, right? When you say creative perks and benefits, you know what organizations have done in terms of perks? They say, fine, this is something that we do, we'll share it with you. These are the kind of benefits which are extending: maternity leave, paternity leave, second paternity leave, diverse leaves, all those leaves, right? There are different perks, different, very, very creative perks and benefits you will see, right? Menstrual period leaves, some organizations are doing it. Now these are like important things which connects with your DEI practice, and also same time that we are an organization who cares and concerns. It is looked down upon by an individual who is availing that as a matter of perk of benefit and says, here is an organization which cares. Now you see, and organizations are becoming more and more creative, right? They say, fine, we are giving you, one of the organizations went to Bombay through a conference, and I was surprised to see that organizations are giving half-day offs to attend parent-teachers meets in schools. Now that's the biggest dilemma that we have today. I will inform my boss in advance to go to my son's school to attend parent-teachers meet, but then you say, no, if you are having a parent-teachers meet, attend that first, that's more important. I mean, these are creative benefits. Now, this cannot be mentioned anywhere, but at the same time, a small benefit can go a long way for the talent to be with you for a longer period of time. And these are what the practices are coming forward. Contemporary hiring practices and remote facilities. I think so, Rauka did make a mention that there are AI-generated platforms. Today, you get a phone call, which is absolutely an AI voice. You feel the person is talking to you who's real, but it's actually the machine voice, and that's what happens in the preliminary interview rounds. Now, what does it speak about the candidate who's attending the interview? He or she feels, oh, here's an organization which is digitally savvy, or here's an organization who's investing in technology, or here's an organization which is futuristic, or here's an organization which is amazing. And the kind of feeling that, Googles of the world, the experience which you get when you step in case if you've been there, right? Everything is automated. So these kind of practices, including in hiring, comes to know that fine, what an automated culture. It is going to make my job easier when I go. There will not be much pressure and I will learn a lot of things. It will put my creative skills in place. So hiring practices, remote facilities, since the time the hybrid work culture started, I think so organizations who realize that, it's now so difficult for employees to be brought back to office because an employee said I'm already in the joy of comfort, not with Gujarat probably because it's the safest place to commute and easier to transfer, but in places like say Bombay or Bangalore where traffic consumes half of your life. So what they did regional pods. They say closer to your place, we're hiring a workstation, you go work from there, but don't sit at home. Now you see there are remote facilities. So the employee says, fine, at least I'm closer to my home, I can walk into my home in the next 10 minutes rather than commuting 2 hours a distance. Now these practices will change the way that the employees believe that they have been taken care of. It's a value proposition. And when employees speak about it to the external world, there is a belief and conviction into the kind of ecosystem the organization has. Happiness index, I'm sure most of you would have heard this word. Every third organization has got a beautiful label now which is in red and white. What is that? GPTW, exactly. What does it speak of? While many organizations are taking this survey, but it becomes a matter of pride when you get that award, right? So we must try to compliment those organizations who are coming up with this creative ways to allure the organizations to have that certification, but in a way that label becomes important. Because whichever forum you go, you present your slide, that label is there. When you put yourself in the media, you're taking a matter of pride. You're telling your employees this is a great place to work. And likewise, there are many other surveys now coming up every other month. Happiness at work, great place to work, right? Great place to work for future, all those things. But then, happiness index, connect beyond work. Now, this is something which is amazing, which most of the organizations do it very creatively. At Zydus, we do have something known as Zydus clubs, where we say the like-minded people come together and we create clubs and bring them together and say this is up to you, you do whatever you want. But then at least when I say that fine, this is something which I like, and this is something that you like, and we establish a commonality, that's the way you generate rapport with people. Most of the times you work with colleagues for years together, you don't realize what are your likings, what are his or her likings. Suddenly one fine day in a party you realize, अरे यार तुमको भी ये पसंद है, मुझे भी ये पसंद है, मुझे कभी पता नहीं चला. पता कैसे चलेगा? कभी बात ही नहीं किया काम के अलावा. So organizations are trying to create those platforms for allowing the people to come together beyond work to form a community at large. No reviews, no questions asked. People feel so happy about it. Mental health is again a major focus. I'm sure every other organization is coming up with some creative solutions to allow your people to be more mentally able. And there are many programs which are happening in that direction. Why are they happening? They're happening because today stress is really undefined. You never know what builds up the stress. And that focus organization feels is very important. Creative ways. They enroll people into gyms. They give vouchers for vacations. They give rewards in the form of stress busters, so on and so forth. Now, why isn't it that in office in Gurgaon we saw that last time in paper there was a masseuse who's put in the office only to go and massage the heads of the employees who are already there on the PC. What a creative way, right? But these are some practices. Why? At the end of the day, organization feels that यार employee की happiness अभी मेरी जिम्मेदारी है, employees पे कुछ भी नहीं है, and this is the value proposition. Which employee feels good about it, carries that news outside. Individuals who come for an interview, why we ask them that what is it that you learned about this organization? Few of the things what they quote are these. Yeah, I know, here is an organization who cares. My friend who works for you told me about it. This is something that he had suffered, he had a severe migraine, but then the organization took care of it. He is no more into that depressive mode. Now all those things come up. These are like creative, unique practices. And this is something that the organizations are compelled to initiate, and most of this will be seen in many organizations in times to come. Enhanced focus on leadership development and succession. Because it is the leaders who build the organization, the culture is always top down. A lack of leadership will be translated into a very, very poor culture. And hence, anything that you talk about leadership has to be extremely critical. And one more thing, we are not talking about only the present leadership, we are talking about the future leadership. And future leadership will demand a lot more skills what the present leaders have not thought about. Don't be surprised if the bosses will be much younger to the subordinates tomorrow, because there's a creative leadership which is emerging. And it's very, very important to look very progressive. And hence those leadership acumen are taught right from the beginning. I'm sure in the colleges also, in their degree programs, they inbuild the softer skills so that the moment they get into an organization through a placement, they at least have some knowledge of what's happening in the organization. Or how is it that they try to treat their colleagues when they go into work. So leadership acumen is becoming extremely, extremely critical. And succession obviously so that the business continuity is there. And moreover, high talent exposure. You go to a conference, this places, many of you are representing your organization in some form or the other, either you have come voluntarily or in some of the cases your organization has sponsored you to this event, right? Exposure. Is there an international conference which is happening? The top talented employees get a choice to go there. There is IIM Ahmedabad program happening. Some 30-40 people are enrolled there. Exposure. You give them a kind of a feeling of importance. You say that we are partners to you. We would want to build your skill. In the process, we benefit as an organization with the acumen which you bring back. You build your capabilities. There's a business which is benefiting out of it. But in a way, we are investing in you. And this is something that really, really matters. So there is a higher talent exposure also which will be very, very comfort. So if you look into this list, I don't know in your respective organizations how many things are practiced. If not, it's good to at least pick up a couple and start doing it. Even if you don't do it, you'll be compelled to do it in the next 3 or 4 years of time. You will have to think in those lines because it will really, really matter for your value proposition. Last but not the least, because we talked about the ESG, what are the organizations doing? So the government also has a rule of certain amount of percentage of the revenue to be transferred to CSR. And you see creative CSR practices. Now, how is it translating to a value proposition? The moment you contribute money in CSR, it goes into the media or in some form you say that this is something that we have done. We have done a blood donation camp in this village. We have gone and done this. Schools we have hired. We have distributed this in some remote place. They're also allowing their employees to participate in their CSR events. They're giving them 50. There are few organizations are creatively giving them 15 days of leave in a year only to partner in some CSR activity to go to a village and convert them into a better place. And say you will get credit points for it. It's a paid leave, but you go and work, and also the organization highlights it that this is what we are doing for the community. And what is it that will speak of the organization for the outsiders, your investors, stakeholders, business partners, employees, relatives, families? Oh, here is an organization who's not there only to do business. Here is an organization who's also trying to contribute to the society in a very creative way and compelling their employees also to do it. So this is something that will be compelled. I just put forward almost in 2030 what I envision based on what I just spoke a while back, that what is it that going forward in 2030, the value propositions are likely to be. Number one, it's going to be an emphasis on DEI. There is going to be a huge emphasis on DEI. There is a huge UN cry about it. Every other day in large organizations, there comes a circular which says what are we doing about it. It is going to be reviewed, if not today. Organizations will be forced to look at it, small or big doesn't matter. Whether it is diversity, whether it is equity, whether it is government is having a huge investment in this direction. Secondly, investment on the future skills development. If you're just trying to look into conventional skill development, it's time high to look into the contemporary skills. Do an evaluative study of your industry benchmarking. Just do an envisioning and find out 5 years down the line where is your industry likely to be, what are the challenges which are likely to come up, and start building your people in those areas. Multiple career opportunities, open talent framework. If there is a vertical talent upliftment in your company, also find out avenues, how do we grow people parallelly and transfer from one function to another function. How do we give more exposure? How do we celebrate that difference in functionality? How not we build functional capacities in the organization but build well-rounded capacities? The changing talent dimensions I elaborated, creative person benefits and wealth sharing, what employees will look forward to, contemporary hiring practices and remote facilities, because as the capex goes larger and the pockets start burning, you might have to look into alternate ways, because the size and scale of the organization is also growing. There will always be a limited capacity in the infrastructure which you have set in. So either you will end up having some gig 10 years down the line, but which is a remote possibility. You might have to look into alternate infrastructure to ensure that the people are there with you, but even though they are away. Happiness index, connecting beyond work, the mental health focus will be the flavor of the season now. Enhanced focus on leadership development and increased CSR spend. So these are certain things, almost the 9 of them I've been in the top order list. And another 3 years down the line are going to be changing the way organizations who are intensely looking forward to build their value propositions will bring upfront. Those organizations who are unfortunately not getting into either of these zones will, I think so, lag behind. While I'm sure there are many practices in your respective companies around these directions, just be convinced about the fact that whatever you're doing is right if it is featuring here. And if it's not done, then probably you need to initiate. If it is done with lesser focus, you can build up that intensity. Because tomorrow, the organizations who will have these elements in place will have a stronger value propositions to make. My final thoughts are that EVP is a cultural commitment. It is not just HR messaging, and it's to the fraternity of HR who's sitting here. It's not just a writing on the wall. It's just not like few practices which need to be documented and shown to the world. It's a commitment by each and every one. It must be shaped by employees and also backed by leadership. So if I say that in my organization there are 27,891 EVP managers, so in your respective organizations, the number of employees who work are your EVP managers. Authenticity, flexibility, and the purpose are the key pillars. Why do you want to shift? What is it that we're looking forward to? What is the vision 5 years down the line? What is it that we want to build up? What is it that we want to achieve? So these are my final thoughts. Though I know that I have been speeding up in talking because of the limited and time paucity, but I'm sure with the limited slides and deck which I've had, I'm able to inculcate a kind of a thought in your shift as to it's not just the employee value proposition, but it's also the value proposition that we all are responsible and committed to. Right? I hope I've been able to address a few of the thoughts in your mind or added some new dimensions. And thank you so much for your patient listening. Thank you so much for all of you.
Now I request.
Ma'am, I'll just take 15 seconds. So, talking about the happiness index, I don't know how many of you are aware, 3 days ago, a Hyderabad-based startup, they've hired a golden retriever called Denver as the chief happiness officer. So you must read it. It's quite
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Now I would like to request Mr. Sudhir Sethi, sir, to felicitate Mr. Nair, sir, by momentum.
તું જોઈ લઈશ મને પેરેન્ટ આવેલા છે
મારી કેપેસિટી પૂરી हो गई
Thank you, sir. It's an honor to know. Now today we have a very dynamic personality with us, Mr. Harshit Modi, CEO of Dash AI and IIT Bombay alumni. He is a serial entrepreneur and an AI expert, and with his friends from IIT Bombay, they have built a company that helps automate and build AI solutions for HR. Today, they will be presenting on how AI can improve each functions of HR and also demonstrate an use case.
Hello everybody. Seeing all so many senior folks here is actually very exciting. And thank you Daktesh sir for this opportunity to be. To be very honest, I am an engineer. So as ma'am mentioned, I am Harshit Modi, a graduate from IIT Bombay and CEO of Dash AI. Since all of you guys are so many experience in your career, very honestly जितने मुझे महीने नहीं हुए होंगे ग्रेजुएट होके उतने तो शायद आप सब एक क्वार्टर में हायरिंग साइकिल में जॉब पोजीशन क्लोज कर लेते होंगे. So I'm definitely not here to tell you how to do HR better, but I'm going to share with you what I am good at, which is technology. So, very frankly, the next 10 minutes, 15 minutes of speech that I'm going to give you, my goal would be to spark curiosity among you on how AI can actually make your work flow better, how it can optimize on how you are currently working, and actually educate you more about what is artificial intelligence and what has recently changed, which has made it a buzzword. So, very frankly, to start with, let's have a very basic understanding. What is AI? I mean, why this has evolved in last 2 to 3 years, or was it not there before a decade or something? So very honestly, जब मैं first year में था अपने IIT बॉम्बे के, I was taught to build an AI model, and in fact, in just my first year, I built an AI model which could predict which kind of YouTube videos would get the most views and hence the most money generating video. But then, at that time, creating AI model, using AI model was just a privilege to coders and PhDs. Then ChatGPT came into the picture, and it actually trained a machine on more than 7 billion of data points, and technically teaching it everything about the world and making it accessible to everyone. So now for every one of you, all you need is an internet connection so that you can access an artificial intelligence model. But to understand it better, think artificial intelligence more like as a human intelligence. जब हम पैदा होते हैं, we know nothing. We are like a blank slate. But then we are taught, we are trained, we make mistakes and we get feedback, we improvise onto that. Similarly, when a machine is taught on data, when it's trained on data, and it's given a feedback loop to improvise itself, we ultimately end up making an artificial intelligence model. So when we say AI in HR, why do we say AI in HR? What if we do not actually want AI in HR? We just want humans in human resources. Very honestly, till a very certain extent, I also believe there should be only humans in human resources. But after building so many models myself, after working with my friends who have built so many agents themselves in different fields and different verticals, I've realized an artificial intelligence model actually make us more human. So in the previous sessions, you would have received this gyan basically that as a human we are good at creativity, at emotions, empathy, and everything. AI actually helps you automate a lot of your daily and tedious work so that you can spend more time on being intellectual, on being innovator, on being actually thinking new on what can be added. So it helps you speed decisions, it helps you make faster and effective work, build a faster and effective process. Very honestly, HR, as an HR, there were a lot of emphasis. You deal with the most complex system on this earth, which is human. Every human thinks differently, acts differently, works differently. So having a right set of AI model actually is very important for any kind of function that is there, irrespective of the co-pilots or all the things that are there in the market, because it's not necessary that everything fits with your company's workflow or actually the way you work yourself. So, in the next few minutes the session, when I will be mentioning AI in HR, I will not mean AI replacing HRs, but I will only mean AI enabling HRs so that again you can be more productive and efficient. To start with, to understand it better, what I'll do is I'll explain to you with a demonstration for a particular use case on recruitment and hiring, which is one of the biggest challenging function of HR department. How it works without AI, how AI can enhance this whole process, and what value does it bring to the table. So to understand this, what I have done is I have created a job description of a data engineer, and I'll show you live. I'll do a live hiring right now using an AI model, and in the next 5 minutes you'll see how good that can work. What I'll do is we have a data engineer role. We covered the education, the responsibilities, the typical way our JD is created. I'm just creating job profiles on Dash, and there are a few questions which cover the different persona of job. What are the impact that is going to be there on this job, or what thinking challenges that is going to be for this particular set of employees. Once that is done, it creates a behavioral competency mapping, giving you one more level of insight on what are the recommended competencies or traits that should be there in this new joinee or this new employee. Once you have created a job profile onto there, I also have nearly 50 to 54 resumes which actually downloaded from public portals like LinkedIn, Naukri, all those portals. Again, for this particular use case, what I'll do is I'll show you how a CV screening mechanism can actually be made customized to how your company works, what your company has to offer to the employees, and how it can be more transparent so that it acts like a human without being human in the loop. So I'm uploading this CV. I'll tell you why this is getting processed. Unlike traditional ATS tools or other keyword parsers that are there in the market right now, what they pretty much do is they pick keywords from the job description, they matches these keywords in the resumes, and ultimately gives you a relevant score key, CV relevant, whatever. But we as a human, what we do is we read a CV, we know what is the requirement, and we read between the lines, we read on a contextual basis and understand whether this guy is good for the requirement that we have or not. Similarly, when you fine tune an AI model, when you create different metrics on education, on responsibility, experience and everything, we can define different set of criteria. That these are the, let's say, 4 to 6 years of experience, or these are the set of things that are necessary. You can add different weights to it, whether it's a must-have criteria, it's good to have criteria, or should not have kind of criteria. You can customize all these things and you can, fine-tune a particular AI model, and then it runs through each and every other series that you have uploaded. Either we can connect with the HRMS or TVMS system that you already have, we can do it manually, anything. It reads it and gives you a relevant score on like, out of 500 CVs, this is that. And I think every one of you would align with me when I say this. As soon as you get a job requirement and you post it on 5 different job boards or send out to recruitment agencies, within 72 hours or within 3 days, you have more than 500, 800 resumes sitting in your inbox, out of which 80% are actually not worth it. 15% are like okay, showcase. Only the 5% of those bulk CVs are valuable to you, are actually considerable of your time for you. But again, you have to do that manual laborious process to get to that 5%, which takes a lot of time and money, obviously. I think because of some internet, there's been some trouble. Cool. So I'll just walk you through on the criteria that were there. So there were different must-have criteria, and it were bifurcated in different metrics header based on the GD that we have uploaded. And again, we can customize all this. But once that is done, it again gives a relevant score and a transparent relevant score on how this was calculated. Perfect. So we already have it here. Can you open that one? Yeah. So as you can see, for each of the criteria, it gives you different labels, whether it's partially covered, or fully covered, not covered, and everything. So that you can make an informed decision, you can set parameters yourself. Now once this is done, you can actually ask AI agent, you can prompt an AI agent to conduct a technical round of interview with the candidate. As Anil sir was previously mentioning in his speech, that an AI agent can actually call to you, can speak naturally with you, dynamically with you, without you knowing it's actually an AI agent speaking and conducting an interview, which is actually possible, and these kind of systems are already out there, which are very well developed and very well are there in the production. So I'll just show you. What we do is I'll create this AI call group. In fact, for this exercise, I wanted to call a lot of other people all together, but because of this network issue, I couldn't do that. I'll just set the system to call on my phone number, and we'll see how it works. It will conduct an interview of me for this particular role, and will ask me these questions that we actually have said. And let's see how with low latency, with multilingual and a dynamic conversation can be conducted with this model. Obviously, post the call, it does a detailed analysis on the transcript, on the recording and everything, We can set criteria. Someone having a notice period more than 60 is not acceptable. Someone having a salary more than 25 LP of expectation is not acceptable. All those kind of things, and it can beautifully shortlist and do the grunt work for you, so that you can get those qualified top tier candidate and you can process with them. Not sure if my network is also not supportive right now. Anyways, I could not show this right now, the call is not getting connected. But what it does is, it can conduct on Google Meet on your phone or any other kind of system, and capture the details that I just mentioned to you. Moving on to the next, once you have again qualified candidates on this, it can actually conduct a culture fit on the interview as well. As you were, earlier in the previous session, we were discussing how it's important to not just have a candidate or an employee who's just technically sound, but also behaviorally and culturally sound to the system and to the ecosystem of the company. Similarly, the system generates multiple situation judgment questions. It engages candidate into a live conversation, into what their thought processes are, what their actions are, and based on whatever responses it gives, it asks them follow-up questions to deep down into their activities and thinking orientation, and give you ultimately a detailed analysis on their cognitive behavior, on their personality skills, on their problem solving skills, and etc. So that again you can make an informed decision whether this is kind of candidate, kind of employee which can be a थोड़ा जो लंबे रेस के दौड़ सकता है, और will this person be a quitter actually. So this is how the systems have evolved, and there are tons of other systems which actually helps HRs in multiple other functions like workforce planning, like employee engagement, which gets integrated with Slack team channels to give you live and feedback on what's working, what's not working. There are also systems right now in the place which can actually help you with learning and development. It's the most lovable department that we have, but fortunately, unfortunately, for some people, it's like a paid leave because we use a one-size-fits-all kind of mechanism, and for some people, it's not actually that much worth it. But ultimately, with artificial intelligence model in place, you can personalize the whole learning curve. You can make the adoption increase by 50%. You can track ROI on what is being spent for this whole activity. Now, obviously, I can keep going on to tell you what's there, what's not there. But a heads up to everyone, this technology in itself is evolving faster than you can imagine. It's evolving day by day. A newer model comes into the picture and disruption happens. ChatGPT ने एक model निकाला जिसमें टेबली images बन सकती है, you know the rest. Alright. So similarly, for your use case as well as of present, there could exist a model which can precisely solve what the pain point you have. There can be a precise painkiller right now which can solve your problems. But it's not necessary that all the problems can actually get solved right now with the Gen AI model that is there. But with all honesty, with all the faith that I have and knowledge that I have, I can be very sure that there will be soon a technology which can actually solve for what you're looking for. Or else, very frankly, you can build it in-house with the right set of AI engineer teams by yourself as well. All you need, or the difference between an AI and the HI, human intelligence, is that with AI, you need to set proper set of command lines, proper set of prompt lines, and you have to tell them what to do. Once you know what you need to do, or once you know what you want to get done, you can actually build an AI model by yourself. So, believe me or not, AI is already here. Someone who does not adapt to artificial intelligence for their daily routine work might actually become dinosaur soon. So it's actually important to adapt to artificial intelligence to make your life, faster and actually easier. And as I was mentioning in the start of my session, I just want to actually spark the curiosity on you. So think it like this: if using a right artificial intelligence model can save even 1 to 2 hours of your day, what more productive can you do? Maybe spend more time with family, maybe go to parents teacher meeting with your son, maybe do anything else. So yeah, that's it. Thank you so much everyone for the time and thank you for watching.
Thank you so much. It's a perfect example of how we can think beyond the boundaries and go ahead. Now, moving towards the panel discussion. We'll be starting a new session, that is panel discussion.
Good afternoon.
Right.
I think topic is a resilience. I can see the resilience of at least the 30 people still they have been with us. So I'll really appreciate your resilience and the kind of bombarding people they've gone through. So topic we thought of when we started designing this workshop. I have seen few people, when you see this panel, you will understand that. I have seen few people have relentlessly worked and organization where they work. That organization has really grown in all circumstances. Maybe it's a downturn of the organization, or maybe a COVID time, or probably any kind of competition they have faced. So some organization, when we discuss, will come to know that any time they have been come out with flying colors. It's not that they have not gone down, but what was that? How these organizations are surviving? What are that good practices they are doing? So we thought of today's topic could be, let's understand what are the resilient organization and what are the characteristics of that. So I think it will be a good understanding what is that foundation which makes organization continuously relevant.
Thank you, sir. We have our panelist today, Mr. Sudhir Sethi, sir, Chief People Officer and Head, Legal, Inox India Limited. He is a seasoned HR leader with over 35 years of experience across leading organizations such as Glaxo, Gujarat Insecticides and Vardhman Group. Since 2007, he has been serving as Chief People Officer and Legal at Inox India Limited. He is the founder president of Vadodara HR Forum and actively contributes to academia through advisory roles at MSU, ITM, Parekh University and AIESEC. He is HR Excellence Award by MSU and named among India's most iconic CPOs 2024. It's my honor to call you, sir. Now I request Mr. Ganesh, sir, to please present a bouquet to Mr. Sudhir Sethi, sir. Thank you, sir. Now we have our next panelist, Mr. Suresh Rathod, sir, Vice President, HR Corporation India, Middle East and Sea. He is a global HR leader with over 2 decades of experience in talent development, employee engagement, and organizational transformation across emerging markets. At IDEX Corporation, he leads HR strategy for India, China, the Middle East, and Southeast Asia. A certified facilitator and leadership coach, he is known for his business partnering approach and commitment to developing diverse, future-ready talent. He actively contributes to the HR community through advisory roles and has received multiple honors, including India's Impactful HR Leaders Award 2024 by ET Now. We are honored to have you here, sir. Now I request Mrs. Kare Madam to present a bouquet to Mr. Suresh Rathod, sir. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir. It's my distinct honor to introduce our versatile panelist, Mr. S.K. Raizada, former Global CHRO Pyramid Class HR and IR strategist, mentor and coach. He is a veteran HR and IR leader with over 42 years of experience over industries like pharma, steel and infrastructure. A postgraduate from MS University of Vadodara, he retired as Global CHRO of Pyramid Class and Group Head, IR at Pyramid Group, later serving as Chief Mentor. and received prestigious honors including the Jewel of India, Vijay Ratnam Gold Medal and Gyan Ratnam. Featured among India's top 100 HR professionals by Dun and Bradstreet, he continues to mentor organizations as an independent coach and negotiator. We are honored to have you here, sir. Now I request Dr. Purvi Naik ma'am to please welcome Dr. S.K. Raizada by presenting a bouquet. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir. We are thrilled to have such an esteemed group of panelists with us, each bringing unique insights and expertise. Now it's the time for moderation, so I would like to invite our moderator, Mr. Dadesh Shah, sir, for moderation of panel discussion.
Hello, hello. Hello. I can see room's resilience is increasing. So, I think I feel most excited and privileged the kind of panel is with me. Probably I know all of them very well. But if I say collectively, these three stalwarts are having 110 years plus experience in entire spectrum of HR. When I said spectrum of HR, is not just HR, IR or any other parts of people function, but they have handled unique situations. They have handled which we may not have thought, or probably one of the kind of we have heard. So Roshni has done a wonderful introduction, but before starting of this our panel discussion, I would like to say a few things. You all must have heard, and with due respect to that organization, Apollo Tyres has one of the worst and challenging times. The militancy at the peak. And that time, Mr. Raidara sir was part of the organization as a head of the HR. And the kind of HR practices or could be the actions which would have been taken, probably that experience is really a gold mine, sir. And contribution to the Piramal and other organizations are not worthy. We have been witnessing that. When I speak to Sudhir Bhai, consistently, recently he has posted on Facebook, completed 15 years, right? 15 years, INOX. 18 years. The beauty is not 18 years, with that he is handling 2 active HR forums, and not a single day I have heard, HR forum I have some problem and I am not able to get the time. He was as active, as energetic, and I have heard many good things which he has implemented in INOX from his juniors. So probably the way he is handling external world and internal world, and the kind of experience he is going to share, probably it's going to be really worthful listening to. And finally, hello, Suren. Suren is a senior person, head HR for US multinational IDEX, and he has worked many other organizations. And successfully he has handled 5 years HR convention. We know to do one convention, Sunil Bhai will also understand how difficult and how to remain relevant and get people on board, and to work with IDEX with their expansion projects, which he has done. And the kind of US multinational has a different expectation from their people practices. He has done a remarkable work in the field of HR. Whenever I discuss with him, he came out with very different perspective of many HR systems. So this is the 110 years of experience. Probably I am the privilege to do a moderation. Probably in Sanskrit is a written word, Chidanti Mama Gatrani. I am shivering. So to start with, what
if we add yours, it will be 140.
Yeah, so nice. So
start with this discussion, I just say what is resilient organization? Why we are discussing this topic? When we see and when we talk to about company called 3M, how many you heard? I don't know. 3M, and we comes in, yeah, good. So we come. What comes in our mind? Innovation. Just stuck to that innovation. When we speak to Tata, what comes in mind? Safety, psychological safety, right? So organizations are such a big brand, which Anil also said, and what they have done continuously, or what is that inherent their core issues, which help organization to remain relevant and to remain more successful. So with that, resilient organization who bounce back, who comes back, has an ability to face the challenges, ability to come out from that downward time and remain successful for a period of over a period of many years. So let's these people have worked that kind of organization. So my first question, Sudhir bhai, how do you define organizational resilience, and what are the key attributes which distinguish resilient organization from others?
As the word suggests, resilience. Resilience means to survive, to remain steadfast, not to, bow down to the problem, adverse situation, or just get vanished from the scene. Uh, that is called is resilience. If we see human being, it's an example of resilience. When a child is born, he is just like a vegetable, cannot do anything, but then through resilience he grows up. Coming back to, since the question is on organizational resilience, organizations which have survived through turbulent times, through good times, through bad times, through tough times, are resilient organizations. The organizations, how they become resilient, what marks the resilience is basically when the organization adapts to the new situation, modifies or change, does the course correction, timely course correction, understand the situation, modifies its own objective, change the objectives, change the kind of business, change the kind of culture. When the organization says it's time to change the culture, then the organization shifts its ideology, the paradigm shift takes place, and then it grows. Good example is Zydus. I was working with Cadila Laboratories Limited in 1991, and today the Zydus Live, when I see the kind of departments you have, the kind of HR interventions, the kind of other management interventions, quality consciousness, sophistication which has creeped in. This shows the resilience after the division between Cadila Chemicals and Cadila Laboratories. In those days, Maida Saab is there, so he knows that transition. But then still the operation grew like anything. How did this happen? This is called resilience. The efforts put in first to survive, stay in the market, then grow, and then find a new uncharted territory altogether, all through world, different kind of business verticals. So this is called resilience, basically.
Surin bhai?
I think Sudhir bhai has covered all actually the aspects of resilience organization. I would say that from the people perspective, the organization which is having the high engaged kind of workforce, who is high performing actually in given situation, and rightly Sudhir bhai was mentioning, it's not about the turbulence that actually tests your resilience, but also when you are growing faster actually, it is important that how your people are intact enough with the culture. And Anil was talking about the culture, right? This time actually, all the organization, they are passing through the multi-generation actually people in their organization. Those are the future of the organization, and it is important that how they are actually really aligned with the policies that we are having. It's important that actually it's an organization which is having the high engaged the population are the most resilient, where the people are really come forward and they feel that yeah, they are free of any risk. They can take the decisions. They are empowered to actually take the decision. They are invited to do their best every day in the organization. They feel that yes, we are advocating the organization. They are the first brand of the organization. These are the characteristics, or I believe that from the people perspective, resilience organization need to have. And these days, this is the most important aspect because all the organizations are in the growing path. Rather than the turbulence, I would say that actually they are in the growing path. And this character, this kind of quality, or the competency, I would say, of the organization is very, very much in this days to grow through the people as well as for the business.
I think very well said. If I have to say, Sudhir very well said that course correction. I think the buzzword coming out, course correction, and ready to work on that. And you said people perspective, probably keeping intact, and the employee can create a advocacy. Sir, having said that, Raitanda sir, can you tell what are that leadership quality? Because you have seen organization from a very helicopter view, you were part of the boardroom, you were part of the strategic work of organization. So, having understood resilient organization, what do you think a capability, quality, or the behavior part, which is required from a leadership standpoint? Because leadership is a going to flow the culture. So, what you will advise to this young professionals? What is that leadership really create a resilient organization?
Good afternoon. The most important part the leadership is the passion. Are you living, eating, dreaming, sleeping with the same passion? And passion is different from organization to organization. I don't want to name the organizations. I have worked with a couple of organizations where the culture was agriculture. And I have also worked with the companies where the culture was vulture. Your job is to see that you navigate your people with you, your management with you, and can you achieve the desired goal. So first is the passion. Second is the sense of responsibility you carry. When I say you, it's a leadership team. Leadership team is the, I would say, प्रतिबिंब what you want to see in your employees. Are you committed? When I say committed, are you committed to deliver? Another important point is, can you empower and trust people? Can you develop a trusteeship principle? Can you think big? First of all, the entire process starts with what is your thinking process, and that is related to your passion. If you can think big, you will strive to develop a dream to achieve that, thinking of big action. And when you have that in the plan, your next step would be how you want to have an architecture to achieve that. So these are a couple of things where the leadership team comes forward. This is not a bottom upward approach. This has to be a top driven approach. And lot of learned organizations are working on that. If you want to study, you study Tata. I have deeply studied that, and I had an honor to meet both the Tatas, legendary J.R.D. Tata as well as Ratan Tata. And I tell you, some other time we can share. I am writing a memo, so let me see if it can see the light of the day. You can understand what is the value. Value is not a simple word. Value, you live for it, you fight for it. And therefore, the leadership team has to be fully integrated.
Hello. I think it's good to hear. Probably what essence is walk the talk and lead from the front. Probably it looks very subjective, but probably there are the examples which Raja sir told Tata and organization. So, Sudhir bhai, you have worked in many organizations. And would you like to quote some example, such any leadership or you have experience, or not a leader but when organization as a group of leaders, or how that process has gone, and which you find if that is the resilience or that's how organization has come back?
Well,
Hello.
so basically, we are employed, engaged in the organization because we are supposed to handle the uncertainties, the turbulence, or as you said, there were some problems. So अगर वो चीजें नहीं हो तो शायद हमको रखेगा भी कौन? We deal with it on day-to-day basis. Some turn out to be serious, and then we remember those things where you really require to put in lot of effort, where you really you have to raise your standard, you have to raise your own bar, your own performance standards, or your own behavior, nature. We are all educated, postgraduate, but and on some situation may arise then where we have to forget that kind of sophistication which people remember us, and then don some other kind of hat, and which is against your nature or against your own behavior pattern which has established. So all those challenges we definitely face. I remember some of the times when we as a team, alone you cannot do anything. You may be a very good taskmaster, you may be a good manager, but ultimately you are as weak or as strong as your team members are, whether you are departmental team member or your top management team members. So the team has to perform, click at that time. For example, I will give you a generic example, emergence of competitor. For many years you enjoy you enjoy the monopoly, and suddenly some competitor emerges. When we started our career, it was more of a monopolistic market. Now monopoly has reduced like anything, and after the globalization particularly, the monopoly has not survived, but the organizations who were resilient have survived. So when, for example, in my own organization, in India we were enjoying almost 90% market share till 2007, 8, 9. So because you must not even heard about cryogenic tanks. I will have to explain you what the product is. So that product we were making. Definitely when people are not aware, that means there were no industries to make it. We don't get ready-made cryogenic engineers. We have to develop those engineers. So suddenly a competitor, that too with financial muscles from abroad, from Europe, emerged in India. The human tendency is first to dismiss. Oh, nothing will happen, they will go away, they are too expensive, something like that. But nobody, comes to get defeated, they are also resilient. Resilience is everywhere. So then we sat together, we put together our thoughts, how to come out of this situation, how to ensure that the competitor doesn't affect the business, because in the first year almost 10% of our business was taken away by the competitor. So we strategized it, we tried to to get more competent people, better managers, the sales, the storytelling, the narratives, the brand management, developing the brand, all the management aspects were put into this strategy, and then we relaunched ourselves. and the competitor is still there, but then we have outgrown the competitor like anything. Maybe double of what he has grown, we have grown by 2 times of what his growth has been. So that way we could minimize the impact, but we cannot wish away competition in this world. If we say कि वो इंडिया छोड़ के भाग जाएंगे, वो that is not possible. So if you have to, as I said earlier, you have to raise the bar. So we raised our bar, put our thoughts together, worked on all kinds of intervention, all kinds of management intervention. So we have to really think about it and execute it in a proper, seamless manner.
I think I'm coming to Suren, right? So to add on, if we have understood that what he said is raise the bar, work as a team. But when we think of resilient organization, some 5-6 big words comes in our mind: people, process, ethics, vision, legal framework. So do you have any order if that works first in an organization, or how do you look at these aspects? And you have worked in a Indian companies and US multinational also. So what is your experience?
So most important actually, first I will actually add on to Sudhir bhai. It's very important that when the kind of challenging time comes actually, how really resiliency works. It works based on actually the psychological safety. It is the most important element around any challenge that your organization is actually dealing with. It is the time that you need your people think out of box, go to some innovation maybe to the product, maybe to the process, maybe to the people practice. It is important that at that time they are contributing to the fullest extent, and it is important for us as HR that what we do to actually establish the psychological safety, because if you see the psychological safety theory, it starts with actually that how we are inviting people, how we are helping them to grow, how we are helping them to actually really contribute. And then last stage comes that how we are ensuring that they are actually there as a kind of challenging partner to us. It is important in turbulence time that organization, management take the best decision. Best decision doesn't actually comes only from the top. It has to be also actually kind of bottom up, right? Whether we are actually going to the pulse survey and checking that what is the kind of mental or the psychological kind of thinking of the people of organization, how we can actually address that and synchronize with our organization policy or strategy that we are doing. It is important in that time that how we are synchronizing our people policy and the business policy. It's very important. Without that actually we cannot go to the retrieving the situation. Without that actually we will not be actually come back. Because this is the most time that you are needing the full potential of your people. It has to be actually kind of bang on situation for the HR. That what we do to actually bring out passion that we have. Generally, we are taking the sort of actually how we are removing the people who are not performing, how we are cut down the cost. That is not the way actually in this scenario, in this time actually happens. How we are really upgrade the moral. Moral is the most important in the turbulence time. So this is what actually always I personally believe and we are practicing. Yes, from your perspective that what is the hierarchy or what is the priority on the resiliency, I would say that yeah, this the first actually psychological safety plays most important role. But it is also important that the way we are operating our business, how it is ensuring the people centricity in the organization, right? Operating model, every business, every organization, they have their own operating model. How we are creating the people centricity in that, so that people have a confidence. People are believing that yeah, this process is not for controlling us, but it is this process all empowering us. This process to unleash our process, unleash our potential. So it is important that how we are designing our operating model of the business that really take care of the kind of psychological safety we are taking and how it is empowering people to do their best every day. I mean to say that how it is encouraging people to unleash their potential, right? This is the resilience organization is when we are talking is not the normal situation. We are not talking that it is for the survival, but it is just actually that how they are winning over the kind of challenging time. Even how they are actually adopting the path, the change, positive change that you want to have in the organization. Because resilience always is not about dealing with the turbulent situation, but how really they are adopting the change that management want to have in the organization in a faster way. How really they are coping up the expected kind of change that will drive the growth of the people and the business.
I think I can say operating model, you said, and psychology safety first. Rather, sir, in your experience, what should be operating model? Though you said it is a passion and leadership, but if you have to say mantra for this audience, what should be the operating model or what comes in your mind with your experience?
So I basically I am a HR professional by accident. So I formally don't believe in too many of theories. Finally, when I started working I just take a 2 minutes to give you the context why I'm saying this. I started working somewhere in '82 when the labor laws and industrial relations and the industrial disputes and industrial conflicts were at the top. There were no theories were working. You have to settle with the union, you have to settle with the union leaders, you have to settle with the political leadership, you have to settle with the government administration in your favor, buy, borrow or steal, get your productivity, get your people disciplined and produce quality product. When this kind of era was there for almost late 90s, many of you will not be born or you will not have seen. I have worked with Datta Samant also. So you can, I mean, it's a different story. The idea is that operating model will change from organization to organization. There is no clear-cut set model that this model will be applicable to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 companies. No. Because operating model has two things: management expectations and aspirations of stakeholders. Are we able to manage both the things? And the third most important angle is the employees. And nowadays, the fourth angle has come is how you create that impact on communities at large. So largely the operating model will depend on what are the priorities of that organization. And all the resilient organization, if you study, there are a couple of things are very common that I can tell. One is, are you prepared to see the unseen? Are you prepared to look at the things which was not there yesterday and which is the rule of the day tomorrow? That is the preparedness. The second important thing is, having prepared yourself, are you able to adapt? Are you nimble-footed to switch over to those changes quickly? Remember, you are carrying at least 5, 7, 10,000 people with you. Culture change, my own colleagues will agree that it is not that simple. Yet, are you ready? Third important thing is, are you responsible? Are you responsible to your stakeholders? Are you responsible to your employees? And are you responsible to society at large? And by that, are you able to create a trustworthy scenario? If you have this, then if you check out Tata, you check out many other organizations, Pyramids, where I work very fondly, I can say. These traits are common and they have worked on this operating model. I can give Pyramid example if you want. See, I think Gaurang is there. Can you just raise your hand? He is one of the key guys in developing Pyramid model. Let us give him a round of applause. Very closely worked with him. So, we created our values: knowledge, action, care, and impact. These are our 4 values. You can Google it right now when you see the pyramid enterprise value. These 4 values will come. Based on that, we created that why our business is successful. Why? The operating model, in the other words, is it is not by fluke. Those who don't know, I tell you, the Bombay stock market, one of the first companies to register was Morarji Mills, owned by pyramids. So you can understand the resilience, character of that organization. So we studied, we created a question bank, we created interviews with all Pyramid Enterprises group companies. We talked to all shareholders and we come out that why we are successful. So there are 5 or 6 major success factors and we call them pyramid success factors. In an abbreviated form it is PSF. So think big, adaptability, empowers and develops, humility, these are the couple of things. And chairman himself believes in this. And this entire success factors were validated by Tower Points, one of the leading talent management from across the globe. And they certified that these are your 6 major success factors for the years to come you have done. So that became our mantra to move forward. Now comes the operating aspect of that. We created a big branding exercise for all these PSL. And I think Gaurang will vouch for it. He was one of the key speaker and volunteer to spread this message across the businesses, across the level. We explain what is each pyramid success factor is. That was again embedded with our performance management system. And for each band, each PSF has a different connotation. If humility is the topmost for the highest band, it is not the so for the first and second level. So interpretation, and based on that they were rated. So these are the parameters on which somebody has to work. And the most important part is note down this sentence: value creates value. It is a very deep meaning. Value creates value. If you have value, you will create value for others. And that is common for all industry. I hope I made some theoretical answer.
No, it's getting interested, so I will not leave all of you 3. So you all said there is a PSF, psychological safety, Sudhir bhai said course correction, so a lot of things are emerging. But I still say this is, we have seen, but we have seen in the morning video, change is exponential, disruption is new normal. Gen Z, we have not seen the video, but the Palki Sharma has showed Gen Z, sorry whosoever Gen Z is here, pardon me, but they don't want to work, they don't want accountability, they want work-life balance, their tolerance power is less. I think we'll show at the end of that video. So in this changing time or disrupting time, where change is every day, you don't know AI, what is that young boy 23 IIT has shown 800 series he has shortlisted in 2 minutes time and he has given you 50 series with the marks. So all this now, is it resilience operating model going to change or remain same? I'll start with Sudhir bhai, then Suren bhai lastly Raisa.
He's checking my resilience. Doesn't give me to think about the answer. They have to be spontaneous.
No, the moral change I can ask Suren bhai to start.
Going back, so coming to this, you said work-life balance. Now work-life balance is also gone. It is joy-life balance.
Well
You know,
said.
so work will come, but first, how are you going to make me happy? Will make me enjoy? Happiness is something different. enjoyment is, is the key now, and he has to balance this. That comes the priority. एक सबसे पहले ये मैं खुश रहूं, बाद में काम होगा तो होगा, नहीं तो चलेगा. I'm not condescending the generation, but the change in values, as he said, value brings value. So if this is the value now, I hope it brings more value to the whole world. Ultimately, world works on economics. Coming back to your question, that how the things will change. As I said, world works on economics, finances. So those things will not change. Some values will always remain sacrosanct. They will have to be followed. The kind of values we had may change. The family, the relationship, they may undergo change for good, for bad. That is, time will decide. But it seems it will go for betterment only. It will be good. But ultimately, empathy, that will remain. Without empathy, world cannot survive. Without financial acumen, the world will not be able to survive, because you have to generate, you have to run this economy. So that resilience is there. When it comes to empathy, the HR has got a very important role to play. People say, what will happen to HR? AI has come, 800 CV shortlisted in 2 minutes and 50 shortlisted. So what will happen to HR? HR will remain. थोड़ा elaborate करूँगा. HR is the only profession which has always remained resilient throughout past 100 years of industry. And I give this example, and many people must have heard it. So again, but since the audience is new, I can take benefit of that. When we started the industrial revolution, India की बात ही करते हैं. When it started, who was HR? HR was a मुकादम. HR is basically human resources. So textile mill चालू हुई, रुई कहीं से आ रही है, कहीं से कॉटन आ रहा है, उसको स्पिंडल्स में डाल के उसका धागा बना रहे हैं. लेबर लगती थी, जबरदस्त लेबर लगती थी. Who was HR at that time? He was a मुकादम. So मुकादम का डिपार्टमेंट, arranging the human resources, arranging the labor, गांव से लेबर लेके आनी, उनको कहीं पे बसाना, फैमिली के साथ उनको रखना, वो सुबह आएंगे, 12 घंटे काम करेंगे, जो भी सैलरी मिलनी है नहीं मिलनी है वो मिलेगी. So that time, then थोड़ा सा sophistication आया. It became, some kind of officer, labor officer, then welfare officer. Then when we started, before that, IR officer, industrial relation, personnel officer, personnel department. When we started our career, it was personnel department, IR department. IR मैनेजर के ऊपर पर्सनल मैनेजर होता था, पर्सनल मैनेजर के ऊपर P&A मैनेजर होता था. Then came HR, then people development. ये रेजिलियंस है कि जब जैसे जैसे मॉडर्नाइजेशन आता गया, प्रोडक्शन वाला प्रोडक्शन निकल रहा है, QC वाला क्वालिटी देख रहा है, अकाउंट्स वाला अकाउंट्स देख रहा है. इसका ही नाम क्यों चेंज होता चला गया? बिकॉज रोल्स बदलते चले गए. जैसे जैसे समय निकला, जैसे जैसे इंडस्ट्री इवॉल्व हुई, the kind of responsibilities, the kind of management expectation changed, so changed the name of this particular profession. So we will be there. The HR will remain there in some other format. Thank you so much. I had to be really resilient. And resilient is not negative, it's a highly positive word. Resilience means not to attack, not to kill the adversity. Resilience comes when there is an adversity, but adversity is not killed by resilience. Resilience is to stand there, to survive, to go ahead. Adversity will, whether it remains alive or it increases or it grows in size, but your resilience keeps you going on further and further, keeps you growing. I hope I have answered this properly.
Great. It's evolving is a month. You said we are kept on evolving.
Next time,
So recently I heard, HR, now HR is called, CHRO is called Chief Heart Officer. So that's one more evolving thing, sir. So Suresh bhai, what do you think in change environment? What do you think?
Yeah, I think this is the what the most fact we all know that really what have taken us here will not take us there, right? So change is very, very important and it need to be there. What really will not change, what I personally believe, and I have read some or experience somewhere, is the growth mindset of the enterprise. So founders' mentality will not change in any given situation. We know that how the founder mentality actually works in any situation to try the business. Just now actually I was talking to Rajendra sir that today Suzlon is really coming back. So there is actually the mentality behind the business. There is a purpose behind the business. Rajendra sir was talking about the vision. As far as the founders or the enterprise having the right vision and mission behind the business, they are going to grow. And when they have mindset to grow, the passion was adults was lacking. Growth mindset always actually comes with the option that how I will take this actually whole team, whole organization that. And they have reasons to actually have the roles in the organization. They have reasons to develop the people. When they are having the reasons to develop the people, people are there with you actually in given situation. And that is how actually growth momentum happens. It is important that how the leaders of the organization, how the senior management, they are thinking about this actually, you can say founders mentality. How really we leave the servant leadership, what I would say, that how we are thinking futuristic, when we are leading the organization today for the HR, we can think of that what will be the organization like 5 years after the HR, and what the roles comes, how I can actually put the competency in my people, how we can make them future ready. I think this is the approach, is not going to change in any given situation.
Thank you. So you said finally future ready. So I sum up with all of you. So in order to have future ready, all of you, sir, what three things HR should do? In 3 words.
I just say one quote. सोच को बदलो तो सितारे बदल जाएंगे, नजर को बदलो तो नज़ारे बदल जाएंगे। कश्तियाँ बदलने की जरूरत नहीं है, दिशाओं को बदलो तो किनारा बदल जाएगा। You have to look at the same thing differently. 2 things are important. Business is going to remain, people are going to remain. And if people and business both are going to remain, the in-between thing, whether it is AI, DI, these are all tools. Finally, these are all tools to achieve your desired goal. How effectively are we able to calibrate and use it? That will decide either the success or the set device of that organization. How many of you remember Kodak now? Many of you may not have born also. Kodak factory was on Jetarpur Road. We don't know because changing time changes perspective. So agility and moving with the time. Only they say now only the change is constant. So either you perish. Some said that people will remain, business will remain. So people management is going to remain. So HR people have to sharpen their skill. They have to remain ahead of time, and they have to, adapt to the changes which are coming. You cannot resist change and survive. Please remember that. कितने भी resilient हो, कितने भी strong हो,
But if you resist change, you will not survive, because change is the only constant in this universe. It is going to change. So adapt to the change, accept the change wholeheartedly, and remain committed to your enhancement of your skills.
I think from my perspective, I believe that futuristic HR will think about that how we are multiplying the competence for the organization. It is a time for HR that how we are maximizing the competence. When I say actually maximizing the competence, it's not about actually a single standalone competency that will drive the result or that will drive the business, but how we are thinking about the integrated competence for the organization, right? How really finance kind of head and the HR head sit together and think of the business. How really the operation head and the commercial heads sit together and think for the customer, right? That is the actually how we are leveraging the competence that exists in the organization rather than the silos or the standalone competency, what we are actually propagating right now. How we can actually make them on board together and offer for the customer, because ultimately everybody is working for the business. Anil was talking about the value proposition, and that is going to remain the constant, and that will be the responsibility. Even though Anil was telling that it is not only the responsibility of the HR, but I will say that culture always HR is owning, and it is the responsibility of HR that how we are tying together all this pyramid of the business and really offer to the business.
I think I can say we have purposefully, I have not asked any HR question. So the resilience we can see that these stalwarts have, and we try to understand how business can withstand. And probably HR has that role, catalyst or whatever we call it, change is constant, we all know. So probably I think this is a maybe it's a thought provoking. As you said, there is no mantra fixed, there is no fixed operating model, course correction, ahead of the time, embrace the change. I think that all we all know. Probably the idea we had this panel discussion is provoking thought or maybe creating confidence in us. Probably the people who have spent 30-35 years and the way they have survived, probably we are on a right path. Probably let's accept the change. Thank you, Raisa Saab, for being and giving us the time. Thank you, Sudhir Bhai. Give us your time and being resilient, always fast. And Suren Bhai, please give us a. You have already agreed. You have some other commitment, but he agreed to come. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Hello, Sumit.
Thank you so much for such an insightful panel discussion. I thank all the three panelists. As a token of our deep appreciation and gratitude, we would like to present you all with the memento. It serves as a humble acknowledgement of your time, effort and wisdom you have shared with us today. So I request Mr. Kiran Modi sir to present a memento to Dr. S.K. Raizada sir. Thank you, sir. Now I request Mrs. Sudha Muzumdar ma'am to present a memento to Mr. Sudhir Sethi, sir. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir. Now I request Mr. Bharat Bhamre sir to present a memento to Mr. Suren Rathod sir. Thank you, sir. Now I request Dr. Purvi ma'am sir.
मैडम हवाली एडमिशन हमारे HR कॉन्क्लेव चालू
Thank you ma'am, thank you sir. We'll be starting our valedictory function right away.
सुमन भाई चेक किया
I am honored and thankful for our panelists for their valuable time. Good evening, esteemed guests, respected dignitaries, and valued participants. It has been an enlightening journey filled with insights, discussion, and collaboration that have enriched our understanding of human resource innovations and strategies. As we gather for the valedictory function for this esteemed HR conclave, let us take a moment to reflect on the valuable experiences shared and the connections forged during this event. So without a further delay, I request Mr. Sudhir Sethi, Chief People Officer and Head Legal Inox India, to please grace the stage for welcome address and brief about the conclave.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It was such a nicely organized program by Quality Circle Forum of India. Today is the third, basically, National HR Convention. And Raju Bhai was very kind enough to involve me in the whole process. Since the beginning of this concept called National HR Convention by QCFI Ankleshwar chapter, the kind of enthusiasm, the kind of involvement Raju Bhai and his team shows in organizing any program is really remarkable. And I came to meet so many people passionate like Sudha ma'am. Sudha ma'am I know since 20 years or so. Once I visited her house, she might have forgotten. She was staying somewhere in Gandia Bazaar in those days and handling quality circles. So we had a program of quality circles. Such people have kept, these concepts alive for decades. And today's convention is once again a commitment towards that, a demonstration of commitment towards, keeping the quality of the organization, quality aspects in the organization alive and kicking. We have got people from pharma industry, engineering industry, and every industry. Quality is the essential aspect, and this is what it takes, and the standards always keep on increasing, improving. If there are no continual improvement in quality, then obviously the market will throw the industry out of the competition. Thank you very much for attending the National Convention of HR National Convention of QCFI, and I'm sure your support will continue in future also. And in next, we will keep on organizing these conclaves year after year. Thank you very much. Keep on patronizing us. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. As a token of our appreciation and respect, we present our guest with a bouquet symbolizing our warmest regards and admiration for all that you do. And to commemorate this occasion, we also offer this memento, a small gesture to remind you of this day and the wonderful moments we share together. So first of all, I request Mr. Datesh Shah, sir, to welcome our guest, Mr. Manish Gaur, by presenting a bouquet and memento. Thank you, sir. Now I request Mr. Sunil Bhatt, sir, Head Regional Human Resource GFL Business, to welcome Dr. Shrikant Wagh, sir, Provost, UPL University. Thank you, sir. Now I request Mr. Sudhir Sethi, sir, to welcome Dr. Neeraj Shah, Dean, School of Engineering, PP Savani University. Thank you, sir. Now I request Mr. Kiran Modi, sir, to welcome Mr. Subhash Nair, Associate Vice President, Godrej Industries, Vadia, by presenting bouquet and memento. Our distinguished guest for this program is Mr. Suresh Nair. He is a chemical engineer with an executive management degree from IIM Bangalore, experienced in manufacturing operations, project execution, change management drive, organizational initiative to growth, with the proven track record of leading teams to achieve operational and business goals. He is today with us for insightful session. So the stage is all yours.
Hello. Good evening, friends. Very happy to be here and very timely presence to witness the panel discussion. A lot of important messages that came up which we are already aware, but as industry leaders or HR or anyone working together, it is important how we take those messages and implement in our day-to-day working. And today's theme, reimagining HR, people, purpose, process, is very relevant in today's time, and it has always been relevant. As someone who has spent majority of her time in operations and shop floor, you would think the core right-hand person would be a guy from production, head of production, head of maintenance. but surprisingly for me, it has always been the HR guy. The most complex thing is how you lead your people, how you lead the competencies, how you get the best out of your teams. And in today's changing times, that has become more relevant, more stronger. Most of industries manage or measure people as a resource. But now we have to look at it in a way that how are we going to manage them or give them the opportunity to upskill, to develop them into people, leaders. And this is not only for managers. As an organization, what we need to do is to think how are we going to deliver that change towards the entire spectrum of the organization. Today's employees do not just wait for the paycheck. That is not their expectation. They want to feel how their work is appreciated, how are they going recognized, and what is the company doing for them to give them a career path, to upskill them, and create a pipeline of their vision. Manufacturing, again, in day-to-day operations, what happens is we tend to get busy and bogged down in our day-to-day operations. But it's always important to steer a path with the organizational vision, purpose, and these are not the words. When we create a strategy, we create a vision, there is always a tangible action plan, goal with which we need to work. And good companies monitor and take this with very seriousness. It's being, as you said, what is the mantra, right? To have a good strategy is a dream, but to implement those strategies in a staggered manner with vision, with actions is what delivers success. Agility. When we talk about agility in today's world, it is, again, the point was made here, how nimble are you, how adaptable are you, how agile are you, because the world is changing at rapid pace. With AI coming in, with digitizing coming in, there's a lot of data available everywhere, there's a lot of tools available everywhere, but how are we going to use those tools to benefit the organization? Amidst everything, with all the tools we have, one thing remains non-negotiable: empathy and the values. We have to treat people with empathy that will give them the psychological safety, that will give them the motivation, that will give them a very open forum to perform and deliver. I would just conclude with saying, as HR, as organization leaders, we have a very famous movie dialogue, with responsibilities, with power comes responsibilities. So with us, we have that power to drive that change, to drive productivity, drive people-centric approach, be human in the way we work, and that will eventually give us what we want to achieve. I again thank UCFI for having me here. Very happy to address this august audience, and thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you, sir. Now next we have Dr. Neeraj Shah, Principal of School of Engineering at P.P. Samani University. He pursued PhD in Civil Structural Engineering and has an experience of 22 years including academic, administrative, industrial and research experience with many research papers by his name. I please call upon Mr. Neeraj sir on the stage. Sir, the stage is yours.
Good evening to all of you. We are really happy to host an event and to be part of this event that is called Third National Conclave with HR. What I missed out is I was attending the last session and there were a few thoughts which came into my mind. Everyone is talking about HR. And when it comes to HR, how we are making our people resources happy. If we see the summary if we'll talk about, everyone is talking about happiness. And happiness index, if we talk about, in 2025, we are on 118th position out of 147. So we have to do a lot. Whether we believe it or not, with the rapid change in technology, which are not going to replace us, believe us, which is going to be an additional tools, which if we apply very cautiously, it is going to be helpful in a many-fold ways. How we are treating or how we are handling our teammates, what privileges, what safety and what backup we are offering to our teammates, that creates our team. Into academics from 25 years, out of that, what I could notice is, when we are good, it's not about administration. It's all about how you sympathetically or empathetically you're connecting with your teammates, what platform we are providing to our team members, how we are appreciating. We all know, but the small thing matters. How many times a year we are interacting with them? Are we always on back of them? Whether how many times we say, you go ahead, we are there to handle what all exigencies will be there due to the work what you have completed. How many times we are helpful in navigating their own thoughts and helping them to achieve the new things. See, this all, we know this all are the mantras to be successful, to make our people happy. But when it comes to executing the things, we are deviating from what we speak. And that is hardcore reality. So it is happy to listen the last conversation, and specifically from sir, we listened, are we really worried about our own people? That matters a lot. Important is building up a team, to be with the team in their time and supporting the team members, whatever they do. What I personally believe is, काम करेंगे तो गलती होगी. There are people which or who will always find out the faults. There are people who always appreciate. So if we are there on back of our own team members, I am sure sooner or later they are going to make the changes and they are going to contribute what we are executing. Happy listening. It's really a wonderful day on which at least I could attend one of the session, learn one new thing also, and I'll try to implement that in our own daily practices. Thank you for being our guest. Thank you for being here at our university. At this time, I would like to make 2-3 things. I think I don't know whether our provost sir conveyed this message or not. We are believing in empowering the industry people, and that's the reason we started with 4 new programs. That will, why I'm sharing the information is, it may be helpful to one of the industry. Let's say those who are completed ITI, the companies who are seriously willing to upgrade the skills of their employees, we are open. It is called corporate to diploma program. That's what we have started specifically for chemical engineers. We are open for civil and mechanical. At the same time, those who are working professional, they are hardly getting time to upgrade the skill. That's why we have launched work integrated learning programs, which is again hybrid mode. So it's not need to be here always on the campus. That is another thing which we have initiated. The third, many graduate engineers are there, and there are certain limitations because of which they could not upgrade their skills, specifically managers. So for them we have started MTech by research because we have done or contributed a lot in your domain. So it's all about MTech by research in two domains, that is in computer and chemical engineering. I invite anyone who would like to join hands with us. Will be happy to be part of your growth journey. Thank you so much. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Now we have our next guest with us, Mr. Shrikant Wagh, sir.
I'm thankful to all the organizers of this program for inviting me here to this program. I'm also fortunate enough to be a part of the people who are with good purpose, ready to pass through some process and achieve some progress. So this HR conclave is actually made for reimagining people, purpose, process and progress. It may be an individual or an organization, an academic institute, a research organization, government office or whatsoever. Everybody thinks of progress. Progress is the key word. And what do we mean by progress? That must be understood first. And how do we achieve it? As a matter of fact, in this HR conclave, these 3 P's which are prior to this progress, people, purpose and process, are really very much interlinked and important. But what do we see from this progress? What do we understand by this term progress? In this context, I remember a share by Nida Fazli. The share goes like this: कोशिश भी कर, उम्मीद भी रख, कोशिश भी कर, उम्मीद भी रख, रास्ता भी चुन, कोशिश भी कर, उम्मीद भी रख, रास्ता भी चुन, इसके बाद फिर थोड़ा मुकद्दर तलाश कर. The adjective thoda is very important. Thoda mukaddar. By mukaddar we always mean luck. Where this luck comes from? Does it mean some opportune time? No, it is not. What is this mukaddar? What is this luck? Or we generally call it good luck. So this luck is actually a consolidation of the other 3 P's. The good people, the good purpose and the good process. When all these 3 things, the people, the process, the purpose, everything is good, then progress is going to be there. And Nida Fazli warns us that mukaddar has to be thoda. It cannot be very high. For that, the purpose has to be very high. The process has to be very good. And the people involved are also to be the best. Then only the progress will be achieved. The 5 years program is for that. For these 4 P's, 5 ways stand. The Japanese workplace management concept is really very valuable, but for any organization, for any individual, for even any family. In our institute, UP University, we have been doing this for many years and we have got very good results. veteran Suha Madam is also here, who has guided us in this respect. I remember way back in 2013-14, you had been to our university college then and guided us in this program. So this 5 years program, which has been arranged here in the form of an HR conclave, is really very valuable. And today some competitions also must have been there. I give my thanks and congratulations to all those who are the participants of this conclave and competition. I take this opportunity to thank Mr. Raju Modi, who has been a very close friend of ours. He is also instrumental in starting 5 years in our university. And he has always been a great support to our university. So my congratulations to all those who have participated in this program, and once again thanking all of you for making me be part of this program. Thanks.
So, thank you, sir. Moving ahead with our very distinguished guest, Mr. Manish Bar, who is MBA in HR with 37 plus years of professional experience in human resource in MNC and Indian companies. He also worked as a technocrat to establish 2 greenfield projects in highly sensitive geographical locations. He is currently associated with Larsen & Toubro Limited. So please join me in welcoming Mr. Manish and take his seat.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening to all of you. I know throughout the day now, having so many people and so many different versions of HR, so must be very tiring already. I try to keep it very simple. Business has been changing constantly for a period of time, and in 1991 when the WTO agreement was signed off, it changed the scenario of Indian business. That is the time we realized that we have to be more productive, we have to be more competitive, and our products have to be more qualitative to be able to compete with all the MNC organizations globally. So that was the change that completely changed the scenario in the country. And now in 2025, you are landing up again into a situation which we tried to preserve before 1991. So till that time, we wanted to protect our economy. We were closed, we were not open to globalization. And today, Mr. Trump is talking about protecting his boundaries. The same thing that we were trying to protect then, and we were incorrect. So Mr. Trump is trying to say that he is currently doing that for his country. So this is how the scenario changes. And this is where it becomes very important that how are we managing our business and what will work for us. And if we are not alive to that situation, then there is a likelihood that it will become difficult for us to survive, like a lot of organizations at that point of time did not keep pace. Somebody mentioned about Kodak, somebody also mentioned about Xerox. So all of these companies, they went off at that point of time. What has been changing constantly? A couple of years back, there was a scenario at a place called Korba in Chhattisgarh, and we saw that a chimney collapsed and killed about 100 people. And that particular contract was being executed by Chinese. and they simply ran away from the country. So suddenly we saw that there was something called Project Visa that got introduced in our country. There was another incident that happened in Bangladesh in a textile factory. It wasn't a factory actually. It was a big building in which people used to operate, and there was a fire incident that happened in that country. And suddenly there was a realization that a lot of work is being done by these low-cost countries by contractual labor, where conditions are not even hygienic, and people are cramped, and you don't have fire safety equipment, you're not even taking care of those people for the basic needs. So there came a European legislation which said that the contractors' facilities need to be audited. Wherever the supplies are coming from low-cost countries, the contractors' facilities need to be audited and seen that the basic amenities are being placed. Third one. Then we had the European countries and Americas and Southeast Asia, all these countries talking about environment, and suddenly asbestos was banned, and anything that we exported from India. So if there was even a small asbestos lining on the equipment that was supplied, so it was rejected. So that came over, and now we are into a scenario where we are talking that if we are not ESG compliant, then they will not buy from India at all. So just see how the environment has been transitioning. And if that is the scenario, and if you are selling right now or exporting to the countries overseas, and you are not going to be competitive in any case, so if you don't adapt to that scenario, it becomes difficult. So which is what now happens on the human resources. Our esteemed panel just now talked about the different ways in which HR evolved over a period of time, and to the extent that now we have something being called as Chief Happiness Officer or Chief People Officer, things like that. So in fact, I was pleasantly surprised during one of the YouTube videos which was getting discussed on 70 hours work week. And at that point of time, I had a happiness expert with me, and I was surprised that there is somebody called a happiness expert, because before that I wasn't even aware. And then we talked about now as people being chief happiness officers in the organization, and there is also a dilemma whether chief happiness officer has to be the same HR person or it has to be somebody else. So all those permutations and combinations are being worked out, but the good thing is that we are alive to the situation and we are trying to adapt to the situation so that we are able to make the business work. Now what is happening in the manufacturing sector? So since I am from the manufacturing side, I will talk more about manufacturing. So in the manufacturing sector now you have a lot of artificial intelligence and machine learning coming in. So you have intelligent machines in the organization, and you have scenarios in which something that you could do in 12 months, 13 months, you are doing it in 1 month or 1.5 months at max. And with almost 1/3 of the labor that you were using at that particular point of time. Now under these scenarios, what becomes important for an organization to see is that what is that core that you need that will make you efficient, and what is that core talent which you should continuously get so that you are able to bring up and remain consistent and remain the best in that particular operation. We went about identifying the same, and that is where we have tried to work out industry-academia relationship with many of the institutes to see that we are having a continuous inflow of the industry-ready people, which is a big talked about subject. And that way keeping the situation live for us so that at any point of time the pipeline does not drain. So we, in our case, welding is a very important area, so we have tried to have a relationship on that side. Then we have design engineering, which is very important, another relationship on that side. Then we have digital as another third area, so we've gone on for that. And digital has so much become a buzzword, the artificial intelligence, machine learning, that we have gone about not doing only it with one institute, but 3 institutes separately. And still working out how to manage that. So these are the things actually, how do you secure your talents? From where? And does that help you? And what is it that your business needs? So this is something that we have to look at. The digitalization happening on HR processes. So this, I still remember 3 or 4 years back, I was being quizzed upon whether with the digitalization, IR will remain as something which is important for the organization. So at that point of time also I told them that it is the heart of the organization. It is the behavior of the people which is important. Digital will not be able to replace that. IT will not be able to replace that. It is the human being who senses the human being. And therefore this is something that is there to remain. Only thing is that this will help us in executing things much efficiently, more faster, and that is the maximum extent that it may influence you. What may change is that the same people, you would look at different kind of specialization from them instead of the way we are looking at them today. So this is another perspective that is there. I think it will be good all the time for all of us to remain sensitive to what is coming. And somebody also talked about anticipating, adapting, and executing. So that is importantly what we will have to see and we will have to practice. So that is it. Thank you so much QCFI for inviting me to this program. I have been very supportive of this particular movement that QCFI does. Our teams have been participating at all the levels, the local level, national level, national level, and the international level. And we have successfully secured good achievements in all of these. And I think it's a good thing for industry to discuss and sharing the way we are doing it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. And now the moment we have all been waiting for, the award distribution. We would like to recognize our winners and participants for their outstanding contributions. Good evening all. It's been a wonderful day with lots of learning, and we reached at the most exciting and awaiting part of today's program. All of you have demonstrated your work through your presentations and case studies in the morning sessions. And now it's time to appreciate all of you through your awards.
So before starting the list of awards, just let me brief the category of the awards. The teams who have secured 70% and above will be awarded with the Platinum category award. 60 to 69% will be with the Gold category award, and 50 to 59% will be awarded with the Silver category award. I request Mr. Manish Gaur sir to please come on the dais and do the honor. I'll announce the names of the companies. First in the list is Gujarat Fluorochemicals Limited. The Learning and Development team is receiving Platinum Award. The team is requested to come fast. Next is Bain Infrastructure Limited. Congratulations, Team GFL. Infrastructure Limited Ankleshwar is receiving Platinum Award. Congratulations. Next is Ukat Asadia University. Ukat Asadia University is receiving Platinum Award. Then Riddhi Life Sciences Private Limited Ankleshwar Team C. Team C is receiving Platinum Award. Congratulations. Thank you, Manish sir. Thank you, sir. Now I request Shrikant Wagh sir to do the honor, please. The team is Coromandel International Limited Sariga, receiving Platinum Award. Next team is DCM Shriram Limited Jagadia, Journey to Engagement. Congratulations, Team Coromandel. DCM Shriram Journey to Engagement is receiving Gold Category Award. Next in the line is RNGP IT Bardoli Chemical Wing.
ચાર્જર પડે છે થોડી પછી ચાર્જ થાય છે બધા ચાર્જ થાય છે
RNGP IT Chemical Wing is receiving Gold Award. Then L&T Hazira Learning and Development Team. L&T Hazira Learning and Development Team receives Platinum Award. Thank you, Shrikant sir. Now I invite Dr. Neeraj Shah sir to do the honor. The team is L&T Heavy Engineering Hazira HR Strategy. Next team is L&T Heavy Engineering Hazira HR Strategy. Receiving Platinum Award. Then Hindalco Industries Limited Unit Birla Copper Tonnage. Hindalco receives Platinum Award. Then there is a team from L&T Hazira Employee Engagement. L&T Hazira Employee Engagement. The entry named as Employee Engagement. Name with this only, Employee Engagement L&T Hazira. Any representative from L&T can collect the award, then we will clarify the details. They are receiving gold award. Next is RNGPIT, Bardoli, CSC department. RNGPIT, CSC is receiving Platinum Award. Thank you, Dr. Neeraj. Now I invite Mr. Subhish Nair, sir. A team from Goldie Solar, name is AI and HR, Goldie Solar, receiving Platinum Award. Then L&T Heavy Engineering HR OE Employee Engagement. This L&T team is receiving Platinum Award. Next is Computers India Private Limited, Baroda. Computers India Private Limited, Baroda receives Platinum Award. Next is DCM Shriram Limited, Jagadia, YLP, cultivating future ready talent. You are getting Platinum Award. Congratulations, DCM Shriram. Thank you, Subhish ji. Now invite Kiran Modi sir to do the honor, please. The team is GRP Limited, Ankleshwar, Team 2. Team number 2 from GRP Limited, Ankleshwar. Please come past. GRP Team 2 from GRP Ankleshwar. They are receiving Platinum Award. Next in the line is GFL Limited HR Digitalization. GFL HR Digitalization. The GFL team receives Platinum Award. We have our next image from PP Savani University. Next is the team from PP Savani University is receiving Platinum Award. Next team is LNT Hazira Digitalization. LNT Hazira receiving gold award. Modi sir, thank you sir. Now I invite हमारे दूसरे मोदी जी, राजू मोदी sir. Team from GRP Panoli, Team 2, GRP Panoli, Team 2. Receiving gold award. Then, Vitti Life Sciences Private Limited Ankleshwar Team B. Vitti Life Science Team B. Yeah, they are receiving Platinum Award. Next is the team from Blue Star Limited Dadra. Exceptional Employee Experience team from Blue Star Dadra is receiving Platinum Award. Then there's a team from DCM Shriram Limited Jagadia, People First. Receiving Platinum Award, DCM Shriram. Thank you, Modi sir. Now I invite Dr. Sunil Bhatt sir to do the honor. The team is Godrej Industries Valia. The team from Godrej Industries Valia. Congratulations, you are receiving Platinum Award. Then the team from GRP Limited Panoli, Team 1. GRP Panoli, Team 1. of award. Thank you, Sudhir sir. Now I invite Sudhir Sethi sir. Sudhir sir to do the honor, please. The team is from OHGC Petro Additions Limited, Dahej, team number 1. Dahej, team number 1. Receives Platinum Award. Then Epitel Limited Dahej. Epitel Dahej. Epitel receives Platinum Award. Next team is Opal Dahej, team number 2. Opal Dahej, team number 2. Opal Dahej, team number 2 receives gold award. Then we have team from Retail Life Sciences Private Limited, Ankleshwar, team A. Team A Retail Life Sciences receives gold award. Thank you, Sudhir Sethi sir. Now I invite Nitin Shah sir to do the honor. We have a team from RHGPIT, Bardoli, Civil Department. This team is receiving Platinum Award. And last but not the least, our team from Saint Kevin India Private Limited, Jagadia. They are receiving Platinum Award. So congratulations all the teams and all the participants for receiving your awards and demonstrating your work through the presentation throughout the day. Thank you all.
Thank you, ma'am. As we conclude this beautiful ceremony, let's remember that recognition is not just about winning awards. It is about celebrating efforts, progress, and perseverance. Congratulations to all the winners and all those who have participated. Now I request QCFI team and Mr. Raju Modi to present a memento to PP Savani University as an event sponsor who was more than a driving force for execution of this program. I would like to call upon Mr. Neeraj Shah to please accept the award on his behalf. And Varun Bhai. Thank you, sir. As we come to the close of this wonderful event, we take a moment to express our gratitude to those who made this gathering possible. To do the honors, I would like to invite Mr. Sudhir sir to deliver of expressing appreciation that truly resonates. Please, sir.
बैटरी पती गई, इवेंट पती गई।
Good evening once again. Thank you all for attending this program, National HR Conclave of the